Something like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you already become to the channel for a while, then go ahead, hit that like button, because you already know what time it is, and you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this. And it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, today we are here to talk a little bit about another great concept, but it really needs to stick with black men. We're going to talk about black men are the prize, okay? Something that really needs to stick with black women. We're going to be talking about black men are the prize, something that needs to stick with the rest of society. Black men are the prize. But before we go too far into this, let's take a quick moment out to give credit what credit is due, because there are people who come through and y'all support the shows in different ways, and I appreciate every single one of you. So shout out to everybody who gives me views. I appreciate it. Even if you a hater, I still appreciate it. Okay. Shout out to the people who make a comment after the stream. The comments do help with the algorithm. So I definitely appreciate it big time. And y'all notice I do try to respond to all the different comments that I made. Also, shout out to the people who share the content, y'all. It's great to have people sharing the content, because the word needs to get out, as they say. Word needs to get out. You got the best show on social media, and you want more people to have it. But shout out to the people who step up and become financial contributors to the channel. because they help me do things in a way that I just can't do it without them. So shout out to everyone who has become a financial contributor. And as I've told y'all before, all money on the wood is good at the Roger Report Live. So big or small, I do appreciate it all. Big or small, I do appreciate it all. And shout out to my main man, Roastmaster One, who is the sponsor of today's stream. Always glad to have him around. Glad to have him in the building anytime he's here. But shout out to you. He been rolling with me for a good long time. So shout out to you, shout out to you, shout out to you, Roastmaster One. Okay, shout out to you. And let me give a couple shout outs to some of the first people to check in this morning. And I know y'all, I didn't put the show up till around about that time, but y'all know me, we popping, y'all. Monday through Fridays, we popping over here at the Roger Report Live. So y'all got to be ready, and you got to be waiting. You got to see where it's gonna be. I'm trying to make it a little bit fairer for that one spot, that renowned spot. That spot that my main man Floyd Thompson has taken charge of today, y'all. That's called the Highlander of today's stream. Shout out to Mr. Floyd Thompson. He is the Highlander of today's stream. I'm trying to make it a little bit more fair, y'all, so people can get their chance. I'm trying to make it a little bit more fair. Okay, so shout out to Floyd Thompson. He jumped on it before anyone else did. Shout out to you, my brother. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being here. Yay, yay. Shout out to the righteous teachers in the building. Great to see you. Great to see you. We got the Saute Sheriff in the house. Mr. Shug to you. What's going on, my brother? What's going on? Glad to see you. Randall Robinson is here. What's happening, Randall? Glad to have you as part of the team over here. Glad to have you here. Y'all, we got Dolomite in the building. Good to see you. Good to see you. And shout out to you for that, brother. Shout out to you. My main man, Terenzo Jones, is in the building. Great to see you as well. Great to see you as well. And we got the one, the only, the pit master himself, Chef Mike's Roundtable is in the building, y'all. Chef Mike's Roundtable is in the building, y'all. And I had to come back and do this, y'all. Some streams I got to come back and I do some stuff that I've done before, you know, because it needs to be on record. And when people have nothing else to do, when you sitting there bored, you know what you got to do? You got to go back and watch a Roger Report Live. Okay, that's what you got to do. You got to go back and watch a Roger Report Live. Go hear something again for the first or the second or the third time. Okay, the more you listen, the more it's in your system. The more it's in your system, hey, the better off we can be, right? The better off we can be. You know, and then for the people who didn't catch it the first time, hey, you're welcome, because we're going to do it another time. So shout out to you, and shout out to the pit crew. Chef Mike down there representing hashtag pit crew in the building. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Glad to have y'all here. Glad to have y'all here. Shout out to seven. He lets me know, y'all. He said, I'm here, Roger. Shout out to 79. Kale Hakate, okay? Kale Hakate. All right, I hope I'm saying that right. Glad to see you in the building, my brother. Always good to see your name pop up. I ain't gonna leave a lie. Always good to see your name pop up. You make yourself noticeable, and I appreciate that. I do appreciate that, y'all. And of course, I put a couple of links in the description on this one, y'all. Now, if you're new to the Roger Report Live, before the stream starts, you always want to check to see if there's some links in the description so you'll know kind of what we're referring to, because we go refer to the links multiple times. You may get lost in the conversation. Don't want you to get lost. Just check out the links that are in the description. You know, not going to be there every day, but they are there enough. They are definitely there enough. So you should check. And I dropped 2 links in the description on today's show. Very interesting links. Very interestingly. Y'all, and the name of this is called Black Men Are the Prize. Now, there is a link in the description of the TV show. I think is very well known, at least here in America. And shout out to all my people listening around the world. Appreciate you and love y'all too. But this should be a pretty well-known show around the world. Well, I ain't gonna say around the world, but in the United States, okay? Should be a very well-known show. I don't know if it's around the world like that. They probably got other versions of it in other countries. But this would be a well-known show. Now, why is there a link to this clip And this is a news clip where they were covering the show. And y'all seen the news clip, right? I wanted to remind people exactly what a prize is. Because on social media, a lot of folks, they talk about a prize as if they don't know what a prize is. Okay. A prize is this good thing that you get. Okay. It's this good thing that you get. All right. Now, it can come in the form of money. It can come in the form of a product. It can come in the form of a service. It can come in the form of a trip. A lot of different things. Okay. A lot of different things that can come in the form of. Now, this one came in the form of money. All right. It came in the form of money. You've seen some people win prizes. Okay. They won prizes. What kind of prize did they get? They got some money, at least in the clip. Okay. They got some money. All right. They had a specialty about rolling that wheel, and hey, they was rolling up a storm. That's all I can say. It was rolling up a storm. Okay, up to $80,000. But did y'all notice people got money in this particular showing? This particular showing. Now, why is the money a prize? Let's think about this. Why is the money a prize? Because see, they won some money that they can take, and they can do a lot of different things with this money. They can go pay off some debts they might have. Maybe you want to pay a nice chunk of that on a mortgage you got. Maybe you want to, hey, you know what? Let me get this mortgage down a little bit. Let me get this mortgage down a little bit. Let me slap about $15,000 on the mortgage real quick just to make sure I'm good. Okay. Pay a little less in interest. Okay. Or, maybe you need a brand new car. Maybe you need a brand new car. Well, you know what? I'm going to take 15 grand to the car lot and see what they can do. Okay. I'm going to let them dance to my song for a little bit. I'm going to tell them straight up, look, I got 15K cash. What you trying to do to get it? Okay, what you trying to do to get it? I'm gonna tell you what I'm interested in. Y'all can you can tell me what you want to tell me, but understand, if you don't make the right deal, I got to take this 15 and go to the next car lot, because there's a lot of car lots out here. I just want you to know that. There's a lot of car lots out here. And somebody gonna get 15 grand today. Okay, somebody getting 15 grand today. Is it gonna be you or is it gonna be somebody else? That's your business. Okay, that is your business. But then you can do things like that with prize money. Okay, maybe you got some debts. Okay, maybe you got some debts. Okay, hey, I can pay off a nice little chunk of a college loan. Okay, maybe I owe the IRS. I can pay them off. Okay. Maybe my membership at this, that, or otherwise ain't taking care of the way it need to be. Boom, I'm caught up. I'm good to go. I got full benefits again. Okay. Maybe that light bill been stressing me out. Maybe that light bill been stressing me out. Boom, here go the last 2 months plus a little extra. Okay. Shout out to Randall Ross. He saved me. They're gonna sell you a Yugo for 15K. Well, you gotta, sometimes you gotta get creative with your shopping, right? Sometimes you got to creative with your shopping, okay? Because you don't necessarily have to buy something brand new. You can go buy something that's lightly used, okay, and get you a much better deal. Get you a much better deal. Shout out to everybody who owns a Yugo. Not saying that that's a bad ride. Not saying that's a bad ride. And if you got some endorsement money, I mention it every day. Okay, I can mention it. I go get a Yugo. They got if the money right. I go grab a Yugo and happily drive it around. Okay. All right, but the prize is something that is a positive things when it comes around. Okay, that's the main thing about a prize. And a lot of folks, I say, if you pay attention to what people talking about on the internet, they done forgot what a prize is. A prize is this good thing to have, this good thing to get, this thing that's going to provide some level of benefit. Okay, it's going to provide some level of benefit. Some prizes are big, some prizes are small, but a prize should be a benefit to you in some kind of way. Okay, now a lot of black women, okay, they talk about certain things where they want you to make these grand gestures. Okay, you heard Ocho Cinco mention uh his his idea when it came to spending $300 on a date. Now, that's not a crazy number. That's not a crazy number, because let's think about it. Being realistic. Okay, if you want to take her to some nice place to eat, okay, you want to do some event before you go eat, especially, standard date is dinner and a movie. Maybe you go to a play or something, then go to a little restaurant. Maybe you go to, maybe you go to the to see some comedians perform. Then you go to a restaurant. There's a lot of different things you can do, and then you go to a restaurant. Okay, so spending $300 on the first date is very doable. Okay, it's not like it's just a crazy number. It's very doable. Is it necessary? Depends on who you date. Let's keep it real. That depends on who you're dating. Because if you have to spend $300, you're probably dating the wrong person. If you have to, okay. I told y'all before, somebody like myself, I'm cool with taking you to IHOP. Okay, shout out to the International House of Pancakes. Why? Because pancakes is my favorite food. Now I dare somebody to tell me something about my favorite food. Okay, I dare you as a date to try to tell me about my favorite food. Okay, and it just so happens that pancakes don't cost $300, y'all. It just so happens to be the case where they don't happen to cost $300. And you know what? I totally get it. Some ladies may not like that. Some ladies may not like that. But if I want pancakes, where else can I go? Not saying there ain't other places out there, and I will go to some other places, been to some other places. I'm sure if I was in the South, I'd probably slide into a Waffle House. Okay. And I'm pretty sure they got other restaurants there. And you know what? I don't know if they have a fancy pancake place. All kinds of stuff exists. You don't necessarily come across them. So there may be a fancy restaurant where you can drop about $100 to pay for some pancakes. I'm sure it exists. Okay. I'm sure it exists. I have never went to a fancy restaurant looking for pancakes, as they say. I haven't done that, but I'm pretty sure it exists. So, everything exists almost. You know what I'm saying? It's probably out there somewhere. But I'm not going to spend $100 for some pancakes, okay? I just don't need to. Not to impress no lady, okay? Shout out to Terenzo Jones. He says the prize is a bear won for them at a carnival by a boy or man at the Roger Report Live. Yet, regardless of whether that boy/man won it or themselves, the bear will only sit in a dusty room corner. Welcome. All right, now Terenzo Jones. Okay, if she likes that man, I'm pretty sure that bear will get a nice place. It'll get a nice place on some dresser, some chair, possibly, very possibly, it can actually sit in the middle of the bed. Okay, it might, when she makes the bed up and all that, put the pillows on, maybe, just maybe, that bear sits right in the middle of the bed if she really likes that dude. Okay, if she really likes that dude. So then it's a chance. The bear has a chance, is all I'm saying. Because if I want to get real, Terenzo, you probably right. I just wanted to say the bear has a chance. That's all I'm saying. The bear has a chance. Because you're probably right, Terenzo. You probably right. If we get real about it. Okay. All right, now. This is the thing, y'all. This is the thing. And black men really need to get this in their head. Black women should get this in their head. Women who want to date black men should get this in their head. And I mean, everybody else, I mean, you can have it in your head. It ain't gonna make no difference. Okay. But women, okay, if you like black men, if you into brothers, you got to recognize this. Black men are the prize. Now, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily say that or would be taken aback by even hearing that. Or they have this internal battle of, is this a real thing or not? Okay, they have this internal battle. Okay. Black men being the prize. Now, shout out to Passport OG. Okay, he made a very interesting video. Very interesting video. Not necessarily celebrating black men as the prize. But if you look at the theme of the video, or at least what I consider a through line that I kind of saw through the video, you know, whether good intentions or bad intentions, there's a lot of people who want stuff out of black men. Let's think about this, y'all. There's a lot of stuff who want people out of black men. You got women that don't even really like black men. And what do they say? You know, to date me, you need to come correct. Some of them will say you need to buy an outfit for them. Some of them will say you need to get a babysitter for them. Okay. Some of them say you need to, send them money just to even talk to them on the phone so a date may happen. Okay. Yeah, these are black women I'm talking about. These are black women I'm talking about. Are there some other women who might do the same thing? Hey, possibly. Okay. But yeah, I'm talking about black women. There's women who ask you to do all kinds of little things in order for you to have a chance of dating them. They want you to pay for the date. Then a lot of them, they ask of you to do things that she should do just to even prepare herself to go on the date. They'll say things like, well, will you get my hair done? Will you get my nails done? Will you buy me an outfit? Okay. Now, being realistic, if you live here in America, you can ask for what you want. Okay. They say a closed mouth don't get fed, right? You can ask for what you want, but it's totally up to you if you want to ask for it. All right. It's totally up to you if you want to ask for it. Now, the thing is, I want black men to pay attention to something. All right. If a woman really likes you, what does she ask for? Let's think about this realistically. You meet a new young lady. Y'all are talking. Okay. You're getting to know each other in some kind of form or fashion. Okay. Maybe even go on the first date. If she really likes you, isn't she a little conscious about what she's going to spend? Think about that, y'all. You take a young lady on the date who's really into you. All of a sudden, she's all cautious about what she's going to order, what she's going to, pick on the menu. Some of them are looking at what you order to make sure they order something that's less expensive. Shout out the hot sauce. Okay, that type of stuff does happen. Okay, you ever know when a woman's really into a guy, but he kind of new, she's all afraid to ask him for anything. She's worried about what impression she's gonna make by asking for something. Y'all ever notice that? Have y'all seen a sister that was just spitting with a dude? And sometimes you see this when a woman first gets up with a guy. They go to what they call the honeymoon stage, like maybe the first 3 months. of them meeting each other and digging on each other and all that type of stuff. She nervous about asking him for anything. Now, why is that? Why is she nervous about asking that man for anything? It ain't got to be no straight up money. She be nervous about asking him for anything because she like him, right? So that tells me somewhere women have this understanding. If I like a guy, I probably shouldn't ask for anything. If I like a guy, I'm nervous about asking for something. All right. Now you got people on the internet, saying, "Hey, I want this just to talk to me." And my thing is, that's cool. I ain't mad at them ladies. I ain't mad at them ladies. If I see that, then I just know not to talk to you. So I ain't mad at all. And they will try to attack your ego. They'll call you names, y'all. They'll call you names. They'll call you broke and all kind of other names that mean broke. And all kind of other names that mean you a nigga, because they're begging. Now, that's a very interesting concept, but again, she's going after your ego. All right. She wants to go here and there, but hey, she'll say something like, if you say you don't really want to go to that particular thing, she'll say something like, if you're broke, just say so. Now, why would she respond, if you're broke, just say so? Because you're the prize. Now, a lot of y'all didn't hear that. Okay, you just hear a woman making an insult, but what you didn't hear is you are the prize. Now, I understand what it means. If you broke, just say so means she recognizes I'm the prize. Now, she may say it out of malice. I'm not saying she won't say it out of malice. She will. But she's also telling me I'm the prize. All right. If she's really insistent upon doing something that you don't want to do, but somehow this is not her taking you out. Now, if she's taking you out, cool. Let's do whatever it is that you want to do. Okay. I ain't got no real questions. You taking me out. Let me see what you gonna put out there. Okay. Let me just show up and enjoy the ambiance. Okay. Let me enjoy what you got put together. Okay. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to enjoy myself. You taking me out. I ain't got no questions. Let's do it. Let's have some fun. All right. I'm going to really enjoy this one because I ain't paying for none of it because you taking me out. But yep. If she wants me to take her somewhere and I say, look, I ain't feeling that. Let's say she say, well, if you broke, just say so. Now, I understand that that's an attack. The attack is meant for my ego. Okay, that's what it is. Now, I have a good, healthy ego. So I know a broke person just told me that. Okay. If you broke, just say so. You know what I heard? I heard a broke person begging. That's what I heard. If you broke, just say that. This broke broad is begging. That's what I heard. And I also heard her say, Roger, you the prize. Okay? You the prize. Now, how do I know I'm the prize? Because the broke person begging is asking me to spend my money to take her to do something I don't even want to do. But this broke beggar can't take me. Did you hear that? This broke beggar can't take me. Now, this can be a big thing. It can be a small thing. Okay? Okay, we ain't got to get too fancy with it, y'all. We just basic date, dinner, and a movie, right? Okay, the new movie comes out. She wants to see the new movie that came out. Possibly a chick flick, might be something from an actor that she's kind of into or whatever case is. But the new movie just came out. It ain't something I want to see, though. It ain't really something I want to see. Okay? Now, I ain't been with her that long. So I just say, look, straight up, I ain't really feeling that movie. I ain't trying to see that. Okay? I ain't trying to see that. If she responds to me with something like, if you broke, just say so, I understand I'm with a person who can't buy a movie ticket. That's what I understand. Okay? I know she meant it in a bad way. I know she meant it to quote unquote try to take my manhood. I know she meant that as a strike against me. And all I heard was a person who can't buy a movie ticket. That's what I heard. All right. Now, I told y'all before, I don't come for money. So I'm not going to laugh at you because you can't buy a movie ticket. I'm only going to laugh at you because you giving me a certain attitude why you can't buy a movie ticket. That's all it really is at the end of the day. I'm not going to mock nobody for being poor. Okay. I don't think being poor is something that you can't fix. You know what I'm saying? That's not the way I see the world. Being poor is that's just where you're at the moment. Okay. But if you mad at me because I don't want to go see the movie that you want to see, but you ain't offered to take me to the movie, I get it. You can't buy a movie ticket. And the only reason you upset with me is because you really want to see this movie. And I was your way of you seeing the movie, and I'm taking that ideal away from you. Okay. I'm taking that ideal away from you. And you know what? That's okay. I don't like you like that yet. Now, maybe if we was actually rocking for a little while, okay, we actually rocking for a while. I've been with you for a year, something like that. Yeah, if you want to see something I don't necessarily want to see, I'm going to go see the thing that you're interested in because you do stuff like that in relationships. I'm going to take you some stuff that you ain't going to quite feel like that, as they say. You're going to, you know what I'm saying? At some point, I'm going to go to do some stuff that I ain't feeling, as they say. Okay. So it is what it is. You know I don't want to see it, but since you're my woman, I'm going to go ahead and endure this situation. Okay. That's what happens. All right. Now, at the end of the day, if it's in the beginning, okay, if it's in the beginning and you getting upset because I ain't going to take you, that's just telling me you ain't got ticket money. Now, I ain't saying you ain't got no job. I ain't saying what the heck is going on with you. I just know you ain't got no ticket money. That's what I know. Because ain't no point in getting upset that I'm not taking you when you can just simply go on your own. Okay, I get that. All right. Now, there's women who use this in all types of matters, okay? With all types of things, with all types of locations. Y'all remember that list they put out saying we don't want no first dates here, here, and here. You know, I remember going over the list. I don't remember how many items was on that list, but I remember I couldn't see the whole list when I found it, but I think it was like 28 items that I went over that was on this list. You know, those are 28 places you can't afford to get to. That's all I know. Okay. That's all I know. All right. If I say, hey, let's go to the Cheesecake Factory, and you say, hey, that's a chain restaurant. I don't do chain restaurants. You know, now my thing is I'm a man, so I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? I could be cool about a lot of situations. You may say, I don't do chain restaurants. And I said, who? Okay, that's interesting. Well, since I wanted to go to the Cheesecake Factory, all right, and you don't want to do that, and I really don't want to take you somewhere that you don't want to go, where would you like to take us? Did y'all hear that? I wanted to go to the Cheesecake Factory, but you say you don't do chain restaurants. Who am I to fight you about the fact that you don't do chain restaurants? That is your business at the end of the day. You a grown woman. Who am I to tell you got to go to the Cheesecake Factory? I ain't telling you got to go to no Cheesecake Factory. What I'm going to do is give you a chance to stunt how you want to stunt. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, well, I wanted to go to the Cheesecake Factory. You know, we ain't got to go there. Where would you like to take us? Now, I understand that's a crazy question for some folks. And a lot of folks ain't getting what I'm saying. I said, where would you like to take? Meaning she's going to pick the location and she can pay for it. Why? Because she is a grown woman. Number one, I ain't kidnapping nobody. Okay. You say you don't want to go to the Cheesecake Factory. Who am I to take you and put you across my shoulder and kidnap you and make you go eat at the Cheesecake Factory? I ain't got to do all that. Okay. We don't need to go to no Cheesecake Factory. Okay. But I already told you where I wanted to go. Now, it's cool. I'm a sensible man. Where would you like to take us? Okay. Because wherever she treating us to, I'll make it work. Did y'all get that? Wherever you're treating us to, I will make it work. There's something on that menu I can eat. Okay. I don't care what kind of place it is. I don't care how obscure it is. I don't care if you're taking me to a restaurant from a country that I have never heard of and ain't never ate the food. I will figure out how to make it work. Okay. I will figure out how to make it work. I don't care what language the menu is written in. I'm going to make it work. Why? Because this is where you want to go. Because where I wanted to go, you protested. So we don't need to go there. Okay, because I don't need to take you to a restaurant that you protested. I'm a sensitive man, y'all. Ain't that what that song say? You need a man with some sensitivity. I'm a sensitive brother. I can get my sensitive side together. Okay. I ain't got to take you nowhere you don't want to go. All right. You need a man like me, a man with sensitivity. I'm be sensitive to the fact that you don't want to go Cheesecake Factory. Okay. I'm gonna be sensitive to the fact that it was such an issue that you verbalized it. And I'm gonna be sensitive to the fact that if you treating, I don't really care where we going. Now, I think it's unfortunate that a lot of brothers don't respond in that way. Okay. All right. Because I get it, y'all. We see stuff on the internet. Some stuff you may see for the first time in your actual life. But if you're going out with a young lady and she don't want to go where you want to go, and she actually like now me, I wouldn't just tell her through the door anyway. I just, my thing is just go on a date, set it up. Because if the woman's willing to go on a date with you without knowing where the date is, that's a good sign that she actually wants to be in your company. That's number one. If there's too many questions, that kind of indicates she doesn't want to be in your company or she's nervous about being in your company. There's a problem with her being in your company. And my thing is, y'all, communication is far more than verbal. Okay, most communication is non-verbal. You got to pick up on stuff. All right. So if she don't want to go where I want to go, there's an issue. Okay, there's an issue. Okay. Now you should welcome her to solve the issue. You should welcome her to solve it. Because see, this is more for folks who are newer to each other. Because if you've been rocking with each other for a year or two, y'all should kind of know a lot about each other at that particular point. Okay. But see, the thing is, men have to remind women who the prize is. It's unfortunate, but you got to remind women who the prize is. Okay. Now let's think about this. Realistically, you meet a young lady, y'all talk, y'all have a good conversation. It's time for the date to come up. All right. Who's going to pay for the date? You're going to pay for the date because you're the man, right? The prize pays. See, when you on the receiving end, you're getting the prize. I'm going to say that real quick. I know that went over some folks' head. And when you repeat this to somebody else, as you should, I want to make sure you don't put it over their head. The person who's receiving is getting the prize. Okay? The person that is receiving is getting the prize. Okay? All right. I hope y'all hear me on that one. The person receiving is getting the prize. So if a man is going to take a woman out, who's getting the prize? Because let's keep it real. If you weren't taking that young lady out, you may not even be going to that particular thing. At least not on that day. There's a lot of things that we do with women that we don't necessarily do without women. Okay, now, I'm not saying men can't do it without women, but there are some things that we don't do unless a woman is with us. So you wouldn't even be doing that thing if it wasn't for her. She's receiving a prize because she gets to come and enjoy your company and whatever experience y'all gonna have together because you're willing to pay for it. All right. Now, the same thing is gonna happen in marriage. In a marriage, a woman should be putting her money into the marriage. If she's not putting the money in the marriage, you're getting cheated as a man. Because if you're gonna allow your woman to go to work and she has a job where her job is to help some other man be richer than you, if you don't get compensated for that, now you can say you a sucker. Okay? You a happily married sucker at that point. If your woman works a job, and it don't have to be a man, you understand another man's gonna benefit at some particular point in time. Whether it be somebody's son, whether it be somebody's boyfriend, whatever. Maybe she a sugar mama and she giving out sugar out there. Okay. But it's crazy out there. Now, shout out to Urban Reed, y'all. Shout out to Urban Reed. He said, I'm convinced Roger is a Yu-Gi-Oh fan. You triggered my trap card. Now I'm gonna tell you straight up, Urban Reed. I've heard the name Yu-Gi-Oh. I have no idea what Yu-Gi-Oh is. I don't even the reference to the trap card. I don't even know what that is. That's real talk, man. Real talk. I've heard of it, so I know it's some type of animation. I guess it's from Japan or something. That's what I believe anyway. But I know nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh. Real talk, nothing. Okay, I couldn't name you one character. All right. But see, the thing is, as men, you got to live in the real world, y'all. I've talked about this before, and I think this is a really good analogy. Men, when we go across the street, y'all, we got to look both ways. It just is what it is. Women do live in the world where people are going to look out for them. But as a man, you got to look both ways. You can't depend on everybody just giving you a pass. Now, can you cross that street and somebody give you a pass? Maybe they see you and hit the brake. Cool. Okay. Cool. But maybe they don't. And if they don't see you, hey, it is what it is. You drop something, you pick it up, but you driving. Boom. Somebody hit. Okay. You check that last text message. And I know you ain't supposed to be texting while you're driving, but you check that last text message. Boom, you didn't hit somebody. So that person walking across that street, they got to be on their P's and Q's. Okay. Now, crazy concept, y'all. You get hit by a car, but it's the driver's fault. Think about that, y'all. There should rarely be a case where you get hit by a car and you say it's the driver's fault because you're supposed to be looking. Now, I understand that if that car went went off the road or something like that, came onto where the pedestrians are, that's a little different. But it should be a very rare thing that it's actually the driver's fault if they hit somebody. Because the person who got hit should have made sure that accident didn't happen. Okay? The driver can go through you. You can't go through the vehicle. So, and I'm going to tell y'all what my daddy told me. Okay? He said if you ever in the situation where you drive and you got to make a decision about hitting some other car, basically, and he really was talking about hitting pedestrians. He said, I can't tell you what to do, but I would hit something soft. If you got to make some bad choices, if all you, and this is just a real thing, y'all, sometimes there's nothing but bad choices in front of you. Okay, there's nothing but bad choices in front of you. Okay. He said, man, I probably hit something soft. Okay. I think he was telling me, if he's not gonna run into that next vehicle that'll get him messed up. He might hit that thing that's soft. Now that's a pedestrian, y'all. Okay. He don't want to hurt nobody. But you got to pay attention out there. So as a man, you got to look you got to look both ways when you cross the street, because the world ain't set up for us to not do so. Now, in Passport G's video, he said something, something interesting was said, DDG. Okay, all I know about DDG is he's a young internet guy, got a lot of money. Okay, just came up on the internet as a personality or something. I really don't know about the guy. Okay, he done had a baby with it's two girls that sing together. One of them famous. So, not one of them famous. One of them is in the movie, the Disney movie, The Little Mermaid. Okay, I think her name is Haley, or Haley, one of the two. She done had a baby with. He had a baby with her. I know that about him. But he was just saying that as a man, he wouldn't feel comfortable with a woman spending money on him. Okay. And I can understand where he comes from, because you want to see yourself as a man. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Okay. There's nothing wrong with seeing yourself as a man. But there's also nothing wrong with a woman paying for you from time to time. I ain't saying she got to do it all the time, but it needs to be available. Okay. It needs to be available. And the thing is, as men, we got to deal with the reality that no matter how much money you have, or even how little you have, they want us to pay. So let's say you make $30,000 a year. Don't even want to make it expensive. Let's say you make $30,000 a year. You meet a young lady, and she ends up she making $225 a year. She makes $225 a year, y'all. Okay. Even though you only make $30,000, she still wants you to pay. That's just the reality of it. Now, I'm not saying a woman won't pay in the beginning. Okay. I'm not saying a woman won't accept that you only make $30,000 a year. But come on, let's be real. Do women who make $225 want to date a man that only makes $30,000? Let's just keep that real from Jump Street. Number one, you probably won't even be in this situation because she don't want a man that can't pay. Women say, I want a man who makes as much as me or more. They do this for a legitimate reason. That legitimate reason is, I don't want to pay. Now, the thing is, I know guys don't necessarily think about it in those terms, but that's the real world. She don't want to pay. She wants you to make what she makes or more so you can afford to pay. That's just what it is. Okay? Not saying she won't ever spend any money on you at all, but she don't want to pay. All right? I don't care what she says she accomplished. I don't care what her education level is. I don't care if she started. I don't care if she invented something and make millions of dollars. Okay? She don't want to pay. Now, How can someone be the prize if they don't want to pay? Again, y'all, I think a lot of us, we listen to people on social media, and I'm gonna just say they done forgot what a prize is. Okay, they done forgot. All right, money is a necessary tool for life. If you live in an American society, it costs to live. It costs money to buy soap. Okay, one of the most basic things you can do is to wash yourself. It costs money to buy soap. So there is no getting around. Okay, there's no getting around this. But if a woman doesn't want to pay, that means she wants somebody else to be the prize. Okay, there's a lot of women who've even tried to go lesbian. Okay, and it don't quite work out for them because a lot of women who quote unquote go lesbian, number one, they don't want to participate sexually the way they're going to be required to at some point. See, a lesbian chick will eat you for a while, but at some point in time, she gonna want you to get on down there and do some muff diving yourself. Okay, you said you're doing the lesbian thing. She want to see you do the lesbian thing. Okay, and you're gonna have to do it right up the middle. Some women ain't so comfortable with that. But let me tell you something else, y'all. Okay, now this is one of my theories. And y'all know these lesbian relationships, for whatever reason, got the highest DV in it. Okay, the highest domestic violence situations going on when you got women who are with each other. Now, my theory is both of them women, and they expecting the other one to pay because they both like being paid for, and they both hate paying. And my thing is, when you create a situation where you got two women that want to be paid for, and you got two women that hate paying, what y'all think gonna happen? Okay, I know when people start hearing, that domestic violence issues come up with between females kind of often. Wasn't surprising to me. You got two women in there trying to be women at convenient times, and they want the other person to take the man's role at a convenient time. How's that supposed to work? Of course they're gonna fight. Okay. The only thing I'm surprised is there ain't fighting more than what they do. That's the only surprise thing about it to me. I'm surprised they're not fighting more than what they actually do. Okay. I am a little surprised at that. All right. Now, of course, they say they don't want 50-50, but you get into this lesbian situation. Well, what you think about to happen? Okay. What you think about to happen? All right. So it is what it is on that note. Nobody wants to step up and be the prize. How's that going to work out? See, with a heterosexual relationship, the man steps up to be the prize. The man understands he needs to be the prize. If I'm not the prize, this stuff is probably going to go way left anyway. Now, what heterosexual man has a good relationship and does not have the understanding that he needs to step up and be the prize? Very few and far between. Okay, very few and far between. Now, I know a lot of y'all may say, well, pimps do it all the time. Let's be realistic. How many pimps are there? What percentage of men do you believe are actual pimps? Okay, what percentage of men do you believe are actual pimps? Now, I've met an actual pimp. Talk to actual pimps. Like, they really do that. It ain't that many of them. Okay? It ain't that many of them. The only way you see a lot of pimps, you got to hang in pimp circles. That's the only way you see a lot of pimps. But if you're not hanging in a pimp circle, you don't see pimps around like that. Very small percentage of men. So I know a lot of people they might instantly go to this pimp situation. Well, first of all, most men ain't pimps. Let's just be real. We'll call ourselves a pimp, but we ain't pimp. We ain't got no hoes on no stroll. Okay. So let's just keep that real and get that out the way. All right. But the thing is, most men will step up to be the prize. But for some reason, black men don't want to look at themselves and see a prize. Okay. Did y'all hear what I said? A lot of black men don't want to look in the mirror and see a prize. Some black men have been trained that it's offensive to see yourself as a prize, especially when you're dealing with a woman. Well, normally the women ain't taking the men out. Now, I understand there are some relationships where you got some more desperate women who try to control men, and they will pay for stuff trying to control the man. And sometimes it will last for a while. But why do all those relationships come to an end? Because the woman was unsatisfied paying for the man. Every single one of those relationships come to an end. You know, I'm gonna say shout out to Nicki Minaj. She might be the first black woman to ever really do it. But then again, she's not FBA either. So I guess the first person to be somebody who's not FBA makes sense. Okay. A woman who will actually have to pay because she done got married to her quote unquote high school sweetheart. So more than likely, he'll probably never be the dominant income carrier of that relationship. Okay. Just is what it is. He'll probably never be that. So Nicki Minaj would probably be the first. She's not going to be she's not an FBA woman. So, you know, that could mean something to you, could mean nothing to you. Okay. Now, the thing is, though, women are very uncomfortable being the prize. Because they live in America. It's perfectly okay legally for a woman to be the prize. A woman could pay the car notes. A woman can buy the home. A woman can handle the mortgage payments. A woman can work 40 hours plus per week. She can do all this stuff. She can be the prize. The man can be a house husband. Okay? He can be that. It's America. He don't have to be the breadwinner. She literally can be the breadwinner. And there have been a few women who've gotten to breadwinner positions. And you know what a lot of those breadwinners say? I don't see why I have to be the breadwinner. What she's telling you is, I don't see why I have to be the prize. I got this whole man having sex with me, but I'm the breadwinner. And I don't like it. When women are the prize, they got a lot of negative language toward the man. Every time women say something about dating down, okay, it's a problem. You know, it's a problem with them dating down. Now, something men haven't really seemed to figure out yet. When we date, we basically date down on a regular basis. Okay. Shout out to Terenzo Jones. He said, being shamed by the shamefully shameless is a strange psychological catch-22. Well, you know what, Terenzo Jones? We need to break free of the catch-22. Okay. Let's go up one. Let's do a catch-23. And just start calling stuff for what they is. Men date down because women are not the prize. Okay? Men date down because women are not the prize. I'll say it one more time. Men date down because women are not the prize. Now, I know a lot of women wouldn't like hearing that men date down. They're not going to like the words. They like the action, though. They love the action. So the thing is, as men, we need to make stuff clear to people when it's necessary. As a man, I'm going to date down because that's what men generally do. Men date down. Now, I can't date down and not be the prize at the same time. Y'all see how that math works? I cannot date down and not be the prize at the same time. Now, I don't know what kind of hokey pokey math you're doing. But if you can date down and somehow you're not the prize, your math off. And I'm just telling you that straight up. Now, this is the thing, y'all. As a lot of men, okay, a lot of men, they don't really get this. I know it ain't necessarily been put this way. You know, I've tried to put it somewhat this way, but this is a message that a lot of men just don't get. Some men ain't never heard it before. Okay, you are the prize because you are going to date down. Okay, all right. Shout out to Afro Merchant. He said, according to them, dating down is only reserved for them. Well, Afro Merchant, it's okay for them to feel that way. You can feel any way you want about anything. You know, you can feel like a Chevy's a Porsche. You can feel how you want to feel about anything. But Afro Merchant, let them know you're dating down. Okay? If you got sons, let the sons know when you to let women understand that they're dating down. We as men, we date down. Okay? We date down because women are not a prize. All right? The prize put money in your bank account. It don't take money out your bank. The prize can help you save some money. Don't make things more expensive. You know, you need a new car, but you want a car. You don't have to go buy a car now. You just pay the taxes and keep it moving. See how the prize just saved you a bunch of money? Okay, that's what that prize did. I don't have to go buy a car. I just won one. This car is going to drive me from point A to point B. Okay, I just won a car. Yeah, but you said you was finna go get you a car. Yeah, I said that, but I won one. I went to a game show and I won me a car. But you said you was finna get a Mustang. Man, I ain't getting no Mustang. I just got a free car. But that's a Chevy Impala. Hey, it's a Chevy Impala that works. So I ain't getting no Mustang. Okay? Oh, man, I thought you were serious about that Mustang. I was serious. Shout out to shout out to Mr. Me Too. Appreciate the reminder, brother. I was actually just about to put it in, but he says at the Roger Report Live, there's no link to join the panel. Shout out to you, brother. I was just about to handle that, but shout out to you for looking out. Appreciate that. And y'all, again, y'all, this is a concept that black men really need to start understanding about themselves. Who ain't begging from black men? Okay. Shout out to Lorenzo Jones. He says it's also okay for them to think that way at the Roger Report Live. As a man or woman thinking, so are they. Well, I'm gonna say this to Lorenzo Jones. If we're dealing with women, we should be teaching them how to cross the street. Okay? Any woman we deal with, they should be being taught how to cross the street. They should be being taught to look both ways, as we have to. Okay? As we have to. Which means she can think how she wants to think, sure. But I'm going to let you know one thing for sure. I'm dating down because I'm dating you. That's how that works. I'm dating down because I'm dating you. And if you just so happen to be with a woman who actually makes some money, okay? And let's just say you are actually dating a woman who makes a little bit more money than you, Okay, because women always they be making these claims that they make more than black men. They've been making these claims for decades now. It ain't happened yet. What I'm saying? So that's why I tell y'all, black women be competing with black men. That's just evidence of it. I know we don't compete with them, but they do be competing with us because they steady saying they make more than us. And why would they say that if they weren't in competition with us? Now, I'm not telling y'all to compete with them because that would kind of be a lowly thing for us to do. But I do want you to recognize what they're doing with you. Okay. Now, let's just say though, you happen to be in a relationship with somebody, or you dating somebody, talking to somebody, and she does actually make more money than you. Okay. Let's say she makes a significant amount more than you. 10, 15, 20, 30,000, whatever. All right. You can also let her know that you're dating down. Okay. And she'll probably look at you crazy. If she knows that she makes more money than you, she'll look at you crazy. Now, why is she going to look at you crazy? Because she's going to assume that because she makes the most money, that she's dating down. And this is why I'm saying we got to help women, y'all. We got to learn to help these women, okay? They need our help in a lot of situations. They need our help, all right? So now how do you come to the conclusion that the man is dating down, but the woman makes more money than the man does? How do we get there? How does that work? Okay. How does that work? Very simple. Regardless of who makes the most money, who's paying for it? Because if you're taking her out and doing nice things for her, you're taking her out to nice little things that we call dates. All right. And you're paying for these things. The reason you're paying for these things is because you're dating down. Okay. How can I date up? If I meet a woman who making millions of dollars a year, but I got to pay for the dates, how am I dating up? Think about that, y'all. How am I dating up? All right. If you don't want to play that prize role, how am I dating up? I don't get it. Don't make no sense to me, y'all. And if it don't make money, it don't make sense, right? And I see you, hot sauce. I'm putting the link in right now, brother. I'm putting the link in right now. Okay. So black men have been a prize for a long time, but there's an issue because most black men don't see themselves as the prize. And it's one thing to hear that you're the prize. Okay. Will you accept that you are the prize? That's the question. Will you accept that you are the prize? All right. I know when I meet a woman, I'm going to come out of pocket before she does. That's just the way it's going to go. All right. If I take a woman out to do something, to see who I am as a person, so she can enjoy herself, she cannot sit there and tell me she the prize. Her mama can't tell me she the prize. Her daddy can't tell me she the prize. Okay. And if I don't want to take you to somewhere because I don't want to go to that particular thing, okay, like we use the example of she wants to see a movie that I don't necessarily want to see. If she ain't gonna pay for it so we can go, then I know she just broke. You can't shame me by letting me know you broke. All right. When you say something crazy like, well, if you broke, just say so, I might laugh at you in your face because I know you broke. Because if you really wanted to go, why didn't you just take us? You don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I'm not missing nothing by missing that event. Okay? I'm not missing anything by missing that event. I don't want to go. I don't think it's going to be entertaining. It's not how I want to spend my time. Okay? Now, I know a lot of men may say, well, but if you like her, you're going to have to do some stuff that she likes doing. Yeah, after a while, we'll do that with each other. But toward the beginning, I'm not finna do something I don't want to do with her. I'm not interested in her world. I'm trying to see if she want to be interested in my world. Now, if she say, well, I want to see this particular movie, that's cool, but she got to pay for it because I don't like her like that. I'm just getting to know. I'm trying to see what she gonna be to me. Okay? And if it's that serious, why won't you just pay for it? Okay? Shout out to Guillaume. He say she's affording you the opportunity to flex your spending ability on her, Roger Report. Prove your might. Oh, oh. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. She lucky I'm talking to her in the first place. Now, this is the attitude that you develop as a man when you figure out that you actually are the prize, especially if you talk to somebody who's above 29 years old. Okay? If you're 29 and above, I'm doing you a favor to talk to you. Because you're supposed to be married already, but you're on the market because you trash. Because the trash still on the market. All right? Now, I'm not saying you can't find a good piece of trash and clean it up. There's people who make a lot of money finding garbage that they clean up and they change a little bit or make change of use. And now they got something worth selling. But we not going to act like you 30 years old and you on the market and you ain't trash. I'm not acting like that. I'm giving you an opportunity to be somebody. Because if you were a somebody, you would be married. Now, I know that may be mean to some people. I know that's harsh to some people. No matter how you take it, it won't change the facts, though. That's just the reality of it. If you 30 years old as a woman and you ain't nobody married you yet, you're definitely a loser. So me giving you a chance to no longer be a user, be a loser, that's me doing you a favor. I'm not begging to do you a favor. Okay, and I'm not going to pretend the situation ain't what it is to make you comfortable. I don't need to do all that. But let me hold fast right now. We got our first guest. I smell like stank coochie and Hennessy at work. A heck of a name. But I'm going to let you have the floor. You got it, my brother.
I salute you, Roger. Shout out to the good people, good folks in the chat. Shout out to the Glitter Gang and the Studs, because the Studs are going through it too, Roger. Like, the Studs are going through it too. So, it's not just a black men problem. It's a epidemic for all the folks who's dealing with some black tail at the moment. So, because I had to crash out this weekend. That's why I came to work smelling like ass and Hennessy, because crashing out dealing with these women. So, but I think from my perspective, I think niggas need to stop being a prize, Roger. I think we need to stop being a prize, because the prize ain't getting us nowhere, brother. Right? The prize is not getting us nowhere. Because at the end of the day, they still sitting up here smiling about being in a white man's face. Like, there's this really popular show called Love Island on Peacock. And literally, they forced this couple together, this black girl and white woman. And this black woman literally said, to see a white man love a dark-skinned woman is healing. It's healing. Not the fact that we saw a black man in the Oval Office raising his two daughters, and the woman called herself a single mom on national TV, and that man still ain't divorced her. That is healing. And we gotta stop it, man. We gotta stop it. The prize ain't worth it. So I'm going to do my best in my Denzel voice. In glory. Tear it up, niggas. Tear it up. It ain't worth it. Because no matter what you do in this country, they ain't going to do nothing for you. Right? King Kong ain't got nothing on niggas who are the prize. But guess what? You know who do? Feminism. So take them on those coffee dates. Split that bill. Right? Split that bill. Like they say we don't take care of our kids anymore. Let's really do it, Roger. Let's really do it. Right? They say black men are the worst fathers in America. Let's really do it. Right? They say black men are blending black women. Abracadabra, ho, you get your wish today. Let's be the genie that they want and that they need. Because obviously, right? Obviously, being the prize is not worth the squeeze. And I'll let my plane there.
Interesting. Champ Cry for Life, you do got a little bit of feedback, but I'm gonna mute my mic and just go ahead and make your opening statement. But I'm gonna ask you to once you're done with your opening statement, try turning your phone off and turn it back on and come back, because I in the future just do that right before you come to the show. Do that right before you come to the show. But go ahead and make the opening statement first while we got you.
Okay. Well, let me see if I can counter what my man just said just a moment ago. We are the prize, and I'll say this, in a different way, because we celebrate Labor Day. We are the builders. We are everyday workers. We work in factory, technology. We created stuff and everything else. And we are the prize. We're the prize if we make over $100,000 a year. If we're an athlete, black women, want a finishing product. But we're also the prize if we're just there going to college, we're an athlete and everything else, and the white woman or a non-black woman sees us and everything else. And once white women or a non-black woman gets a hold of us and everything else, a lot of these black women up here, that same black dark-skinned lady who sit up there talking about, being with a white man is healing. Well, I guess she's healing because, she saw so many brothers, who are athletes and everything with all these beautiful white snow bunnies and everything else. So that's why we're the prize and everything. I'll keep it short and I land it right there.
I never said we weren't the prize. I said we need to stop being the prize.
Stop being the prize. Okay. Well, I think we should remain the prize because of what we've done here.
No.
We're builders and everything else.
Well, I think the biggest problem is that we are the prize, yet we don't operate as the prize. I think that's black men's major issue. Now Champ Car, do me a favor, man, and reset your phone for me, brother, and see that that'll clear up the situation, okay? Now, this is the thing, y'all. As black men, do we operate as if we're the prize? Because there is something funny that goes on in this country. It's a whole lot of begging, okay, that happens when it comes to black men. People beg all day long. They always want us to do something. Now Champ Car, you came back rather quick. What I was saying is turn your phone off, turn it back on, because that a lot of times will help clear up some issues. But go ahead and unmute. Let's see if it works. Whatever you did worked. Let's see.
Did it work?
Okay, I don't really hear no feedback now. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. It's good on my end.
Yeah, whatever you did seemed to clear it up. Cool.
Okay.
All right. So now what I'm saying is, as black men, we need to learn to operate as if we're the prize. The issue that we got is that we are the prize, but we don't operate as if we are the prize. We operate as if the woman is the prize. We don't want to tell her she ain't the prize because we worried about hurting her feelings. We don't want to say simple concepts. Like now that this quote unquote dating down has started because we've got this thing where women can go to work and men can go to work and all that. Now, if the man is making too little money for her, or she's making more money than him, somehow she's dating down. No. I'm dating down. I'm dating you. Number
Yeah.
one, the average woman you come across, you're gonna make more than her in the first place. Number two, if you're the person spending the money, you're automatically dating down. Because I gotta do something to decrease who I am for the benefit of this person. Wouldn't that be down? Because that don't sound like up. I know what up sounds like.
But Roger, see, the thing about it is that while I agree with you, we do need to act like we're the prize. Well, no, I'm going to disagree in this instance. I do agree that black men don't act like they're the prize. I do agree with that sentiment. But there is the old saying that says sometimes you can't appreciate something you have until it's gone. And because it's a relationship, even if we start acting like we're the prize, she's still not going to appreciate it. So I'm saying take it away.
Well,
I'm saying, you really want to date down, okay, then you need to pay the bill.
Yeah.
No, I totally get you, but my thing is this: as black men, we need to act like we're the prize, regardless of who we dating, because at the end of the day, no matter what you change your situation, whatever you change your situation to be, you're going to be in the middle of your situation.
Yeah,
And
but
and black men are going to always have a problem by operating as if they're not the prize when they are.
yeah,
That's not a good thing for any man to do.
but the thing about it is because of white supremacy, you're never going to be fully appreciated for who and what you are and the prize that you are in a relationship and the value. Because I mean, it's a relationship, so yes, you need to conduct yourself in a way to have standards. Let them know where your boundaries are and things like that. I fully 100% think you're 1,000% right. But because it's a relationship, right? There is that level of appreciation and value, right? Because that's what we're in relationships for, right? It's a reciprocal thing. So, and what I'm saying is that even if we act in that accordance, right? Because black men want to be with black women, she's not going to really value that.
Look,
And that's when and I'm gonna tell you this: if that's the case, hey, there are other women that value black men and everything, even though we are taking a risk.
No,
well,
I say, get trifling.
but you're going to take a risk no matter what you do because ain't nothing
Yeah.
guaranteed in life. But this is the thing. At some point, you got to operate as the prize. If you want the life that you truly want, you need to act like you want that life. If you're the prize and you are not satisfied, what would you do? And the problem is black men don't have that mentality from a collective standpoint. As a prize, I don't have to tolerate nonsense. So I don't.
But the thing about it is, Roger, is this, right? If 90% of the okay, let's say you go to this, say you came down from heaven, right? You're an angel. Roger the angel comes down from heaven into the hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you operate in heaven and how you operate in Southside Chicago is going to be two different things.
Well, you got to learn to get them a little bit closer to each other. Okay. The thing is that I am who I am, and I need to act like I am who I am. And if I act like I am who I am, there's some stuff that I'm just not gonna tolerate at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
and so, but absolutely, but at the end of the day, you're also not going to, like, for example, you're not going to give prize energy for people who don't appreciate the prize.
Exactly. They'll get a boot
Right.
because that happens. And like I
But
said,
that's like all of them. That's like all of them.
man,
My
it
thing,
is what it is because no matter where you go, because whatever hood you start from, no matter where you go, you should be operating as if you are a prize in general. A woman should not have to be convinced that men are the prize. We got to the point that women have to be quote unquote convinced that men are the prize. We are way too far off in general.
Yeah,
I'm
we basically have to just build our esteem and just say to ourselves, we are the prize. That's why I have a lot of respect for brothers who push the Save Yourself Black Men movement and everything, and the Passport Bros, because they're basically saying, look, I know my value. I don't need to put up with this crap going on here in the United States. Hey, I could go over to the Philippines or Thailand and all that type of stuff and get every woman and everything else because
brother.
they see the value in me and
Not,
everything
not,
else.
but see, my thing is you cannot escape yourself no matter where on the
Roger's
planet
not
you
going to
are.
Thailand. He already said he ain't doing that.
My thing is the priority for you as a black man is how you see yourself. Wherever you happen to be is where you happen to be. If you don't see yourself as the prize, you already got a problem going on. It don't take you no
Yeah,
$100,000 a year to be no prize. See,
Right.
you said that earlier, champ.
Yeah, you
Why
did.
aren't you the prize when you got your first job?
well,
Why
I
aren't you
said
the
that,
prize then?
I said that we're seen as I should have said that we're seen as a prize to black women if we make over $100,000 a year and
Okay,
everything else.
what
Because
about if I'm 18 and shout out to Mr. Z and I work at Popeye's Chicken? How am I not the prize?
Mm-hmm.
I believe you are the prize, but you just gotta say to yourself that you are. You gotta look into
Common is
yourself and everything else. You gotta have
Calvin is working
confidence
at
in
Popeyes.
yourself, huh?
What
Even if you work at Popeyes or
what
some old and work as a janitor, just
what,
say
what
that you got.
no. This is the point is if I'm 18,
Uh huh.
okay, I ain't got squat. I got a Popeye's job. I'm 18 years old. I'm just getting out of high school. Okay. If I go on a date, she want me to pay, right?
I'm not
Yes.
paying.
So
And she
I
wants you to pay, but you're
obviously
not going to be. You tell her that you
obviously
can't do it.
if no, if I date any woman, I'm dating down and I'm the prize.
But see, Roger, see, here's the issue. Yes, you're dating now because you're using your resources, and she's not probably first date. She's not using any of her resources at all, and so yes, you are the prize, right?
Yeah.
But I would recommend people put on their Pookie hat, and if it makes you feel better, right? I'm the prize under that Pookie hat. Shit in her toilet, drive her car, and make her pump her gas.
Now I ain't gonna say all that because what you doing is your conversation is more of on some I guess revenge or retribution for
Oh, it's not. It's not. It's just that the thing about it is, yes, I'm the prize, but the person I'm with cannot appreciate that, right? They only can appreciate me driving her car, taking her to work, and then getting the blowjob by her neighbor.
what
That's what she values, Roger.
what my thing is
Mhm.
what that's going into what she values. I think the
Yeah.
first thing black men got to deal with is what he values. And for me, he got to value himself as a prize before he started making decisions about her. You know what I'm saying? Get yourself in order. And I think black men have failed when it comes to seeing himself as a prize.
I
And
think.
I think the issue is,
Oh,
Roger,
wait,
that
one
some
second,
of
one
us
second, one
might.
second.
Okay, go
I,
ahead.
I, I think I first of all I agree with you. I want to say that I do agree with you on a sentiment. But if I'm driving her car to work and getting blowjob by her neighbor, I can live with myself.
Yeah. Well, my
I can
thing
live with
is this.
myself.
Okay, Raj. My thing is that black men, we try to go. I think we try too much to try to find the perfect woman in our lives and everything else. We go up there on Instagram. We look at all these beautiful Instagram pictures of these women showing their rear ends and all that type of stuff, and we want that. But realistically, it's not going to happen and everything else. And I think the problem is that we live in a fantasy that we believe that we can get that, even though we don't make a
I,
lot of money and
I,
everything
I,
else.
I
And
I
so
think
as a result of that, you know,
I
you
think
know,
you did wrong on that, champ. I think you did wrong.
how come?
What man looks on the internet and see a bunch of Instagram hoes and say, "Oh, I can have them." What man's actually doing that?
Oh, come on, Raj. They're doing that right now.
No,
Young
They're not.
guys and everything else.
they're
When
not.
when guys when guys see women that she's too well presented, he's gonna think she's expensive. That's what he's thinking. She's expensive, and I don't even want to spend the money.
Shoot, some of
Let's
these
keep it
guys,
real.
man,
I mean,
these
no.
guys.
We talking about the average general brother, and we're not talking about some NFL player or something. We
Yeah.
talking about the average man. He's gonna see
Yes,
expensive, and if he
yeah.
sees expensive, he ain't talking to her.
That's true.
No, but there's some men that do that though, Raj.
You
They
can
really do.
find a guy with no legs, but it's gonna be some work. You know what I'm saying? So you can always find a guy that will do anything, but the general public is not going to see some woman who puts a whole lot into putting her stuff together in some presentation on the internet and think she's not expensive.
Women
That,
are already on TikTok saying that men don't approach them anymore. They're already saying that. So Roger's right.
Yeah,
and
but there's just a small minority of men that do that though, still to this day.
I mean, there's always going to be some guy who does anything. That's why I say that I can find you a guy with no legs. You know, you don't expect to meet somebody with no legs, but if you gave me a good 48 hours, I probably could find one. You know, I go to enough hospitals, enough nursing homes, enough medical centers, enough scientific research stuff. I find a guy with no legs. It's always somebody out there with no legs. I just got to go to, a place. I look up a place, see where they building prosthetics or something. I'll find a guy with no legs. He out there.
But see, the problem is, Roger, is this, that when you're the prize, you also want to have value, right? You want to be like, because to say that it doesn't matter what a woman thinks, I kind of have to push back on that, because it does matter, because she's in a relationship with you. Whoever you choose to be in a relationship with, right? You want to feel valued and appreciated by them.
No.
Right?
I'm not saying it don't matter what she think. I said before we get to what she thinks, we got to get to what we think. That's what I'm saying.
That's fine. But what I'm saying in general, like, as far as being a prize that no one values, right? Because right now, black men are a prize that no one values in this community, if we're being honest.
What? But the thing is, that's according to who? Because black men
That's
don't even.
according to social norms.
No. Black men don't even say they're the prize. Black men don't think they're the prize, and their behavior displays that they have no clue
Fair
that they're a
enough.
prize.
So
So
black women and black men do not think that black men are the prize. Okay, we agree.
right. So my thing is, let's fix that first, and then adjustments will start happening once that's done. But let me ask this question: Black Rule Strikes is in the audience. He says, "What does Champ base that opinion on?" So Champ, what you just said about the guys seeing these women on the internet and thinking they can have this quote unquote perfect woman, what are you basing that opinion on?
I base it on the fact that some of these men, just watch too much at the program to watching video hip hop videos and all that type of stuff, or if they're in high school and everything else, there's some out outcast bunch of kids who are nerds and everything else, to get pushed around by jocks and everything else, and they figure that I might, I mean, I may be a nerd and all that, but I know I can get that type of woman and everything else if I can work hard and everything else.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
that's the
going.
shit that's the stuff I used to hear a lot when I was in high school and
Well,
everything
I'm
else,
gonna say this.
35 years ago.
I'm gonna say this. When Melissa Ford, because she was the first, video model with some recognition and all that type of stuff, she kicked it all off. I didn't hear anybody say they wanted. No, I ain't gonna hold on. I didn't hear anybody believe they was gonna run into Melissa Ford and actually be able to get her. Now people wanted her, yeah, but I don't remember anybody thinking they gonna run into Melissa Ford and be able to get her. That's a whole different story, whole different ball game. So I hear you, bro. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. But y'all,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to.
hold on. I gotta take a quick pause. I actually got another gentleman up, the unfamiliar. I have an unfamiliar. I think it's a brother that's been in the chat plenty of times, but it'll be his first time ever joining the panel. And we just got to make sure everything's legit. So OGPI, I'm gonna let you make an opening statement. And if you are who I think you are, you've seen the show plenty of times, so you should know how this go. Go ahead, my brother.
First time on. Good morning, blessed to chat and all that.
Good morning, brother. Welcome to the show.
Just been enjoying the show for a long time. Figure I'd chime in on this topic because I kind of have some personal views and perspectives about it as well.
I cannot hear anything.
I hear him. I hear him. He so it must be you.
Am I good?
No, I hear you
fine. Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't typically use his mic or nothing like that. But anyways, I don't know. As far as I agree with Roger stance on it, you know, we kind of got to start seeing ourselves as the prize, but it's kind of ingrained in that statement as well. We got to start, you know what I'm saying? Like we can't really be viewed as the prize until we start seeing ourselves as the prize. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of got to step out and walk out and present yourself as such, and you know, kind of hold your chest out and kind of feel that, you know what I'm saying, in order for people to begin to receive you in that way. I kind of view it like because I kind of look at stuff a lot of times like a business mindset. And so it's like let's say you was going to your job, you know what I'm saying? If you went there and you was undervalued all the time, you finna stick with the situation and continue being undervalued, or you gonna bust up and make a move and try and do better for yourself overall. And so it's kind of the same thing. I keep with the business mindset. It's like, as far as I view relationships go, if let's say there's two companies merging, you know what I'm saying? You're not gonna undervalue yourself when it comes to making this merger, because then it's gonna be a heavy imbalance of power against you when y'all finally do come up together, if you know what I mean, as far as that goes. So it's like you want to kind of present yourself and really live that and feel that, but it still does start with you. Like, you got to be doing stuff on a personal level to kind of bolster that argument, so to speak. You know, you got to be on point with your fitness and your health and your mindset and all that stuff, so you can, you know, back it up as being the prize, and you're not just like a balloon floating in the wind. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, well, I'll look like something, but I'm just full of hot air. You know? And I'll land right there with y'all rebuttal.
Okay. And I'm gonna say shout out to Black Rule Strikes. Now, this is what he's saying about you, Champ Carr. And I actually agree with this too. He says, I think he's just reproducing what he hears women saying, but most men are not actually doing. And I really believe the same thing. You just Truth gonna say the same thing, huh? Yeah, bro. Yeah, men have never been in fantasy land like women are. I get women sit and they watch television and they get starry-eyed about somebody or hard-eyed about some guy that they ain't gonna never meet, but they think they gonna meet that guy and he gonna marry. Men don't normally do that. Matter of fact, I can confidently say in my life, I've never met one that had.
A small minority, okay? Maybe I'm going back 35 years ago when I'm hanging up with some brothers and everything else. They used to talk about, I want that woman, I want the image and likeness of Rosanda Chili Thomas and POC and everything.
Now, I do remember us wanting to have sex with these women. I don't remember any of us ever thinking we were going to actually meet these women and be able to actually get the job done. No one thought we were going to actually run into these women. I'll say that, you know, and I live in Chicago, a big enough city as it is, but none of us saw a chick on TV and really thought we was going to run into them at some particular point in time. You know, I don't remember anything like that, but Truth Teller is here, so let me let Truth Teller get his opening statement in. You got it, my brother.
Hey, good morning, gents. I'm gonna just say this because Uru took my bang, but shout out to the elder. What does it even mean to be the prize, right? And I can tell you, and all of it, everybody on the panel did it. You guys don't realize it, but everybody on the panel did it. Your view of the prize is basically the description women give for the men they want. But we all know that description of the men they want is a goddamn fantasy. That dude don't exist on this planet. He's not human, literally. You cannot be emotionally intact and want to listen to me and use your emotions, but then be masculine and not use your emotions when I don't need you to. That's called a slave. That's not a man. Now they'll describe a man that they feel best suits them, But then if they meet that dude in reality, they'll castrate him and call him gay. So the first question is, what's the characteristics of the prize? And me, honestly, I'm gonna just tell y'all the truth. The fact that you're a man in our society means you're the prize. Just the literal fact that you have an XY chromosome. You know why? Because their existence is contingent on your efforts. Literally. They don't have freedoms. They don't have rights. They can't make decisions in this world. They can't protect themselves. They can't have kids. They really have no purpose without you. Their literal existence depends on the effort men put in to this society. So therefore, you have to be the prize. How can you give them the prize package and let them make demands if they can't even do anything for their own existence? We got to stop this, man. And that dude in that video who talking about a well-off woman should never settle for a broke dude, he's insane. A broke dude still provides more to a woman than a woman could ever provide to a man, whether she's a trillionaire. When somebody come to take her money, who gonna stop him? Is it gonna be her and her friends? I'm just asking.
I just want the record to show. I just wanted the record to show that I did not highlight what the prize was according to women.
No, you didn't.
Do that. So,
that was a shot at you because you didn't invite me to that party last night. You coming to the panel smelling like coochie and liquor, nigga. You knew you was supposed to call me, son. You knew that. That ain't right.
No, you're on the suspect list right now, so.
And I'm speaking in the same vein, if you know what I mean, because it's like that's why I said the prize stuff got to start with you. It ain't got nothing to do with what somebody else necessarily thinks.
I disagree.
Stepping out, if you stepping out talking about like you going to adjust your parameters, based on the response you get. That's just how the market works. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to sell a product, so to speak, but it start with you with what you gonna put out there, and then you gonna make adjustments. If you starting off automatically like, well, how can I change myself and gestate myself into what women think something is supposed to be like? You finna
I just wanted to.
You're not gonna ever become anything.
I just wanted to clarify because he calls himself truth teller, but that nigga be lying a lot.
He be spitting on this panel though. That's why I love the panel.
I did not talk about what the prize was from a woman's perspective. I definitely didn't do that.
Well, I will say this quickly. Some women may agree with what I say the prize is, but I'm telling you right now through the door, if I'm 18 years old and I work at Popeye's Chicken, if I'm taking you out, I'm clearly the prize. Point blank. I don't care what no woman talking about. It's my money on the table. I'm clearly the prize.
Ultimately, you the prize because you had the ambition and you pulling out there with the confidence. Even
No.
Like, hell yeah.
No, see,
you know what? My thing is,
you gotta be careful. Sorry,
I gotta give it to Black Rule because the Black Rule done came up. But my thing is, I get what you're saying, but I'm saying in reality, the prize is something like I just put this clip in and remind people what a prize is. A prize is this thing of value that you get for free. That's what a prize actually is. But I'm gonna stop because Black Rule here. Black Rule, you got the mic, my brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Thanks for having me. I hope I'm coming in clear.
You coming in somewhat clear. I'm gonna say that somewhat clear.
You're kind of breaking up.
Jeez. Darn. Well, first of all, I came up to slightly sold champ. We gotta stop your feminist talking points about men, I guess specifically black men chasing Instagram models. That's not a real thing. There's no real evidence that some great number of trying to hunt down the latest booty model. That's something that women like to spread, in particular, to sort of paint a negative image of black men and young black men in particular. And we need to be careful of particular kinds of falsehoods. I personally see very little evidence that the majority of young men on the market is an Instagram model or bust. I just don't see very much of that. So hopefully that came in clear. But I wanted to
It's pretty
kind of
bad.
reiterate
It's
that.
pretty bad,
It's
but
like every other word.
I knew he was going to come. I knew Black Guru was going to come after me in a right way and everything else. But I mean, I get his point and everything else. I grew up in.
And it was not just kind of make sure that we have to be careful about the messaging that we send, especially when our wisdom goes better. Sometimes we default to be so.
Can you hear me? I grew up in it.
The things
Listen,
that
I
can be
grew up
somewhat harmful, especially to younger, more impressionable minds. And I want to ask our resident professional and truth teller a question about value. What's the easiest and quickest way to increase your value, your career value, and your income in the professional market?
All I heard was, "What's the easiest way?"
I know the answer. So
I didn't hear the question. Like, what's the easiest way something income?
What's the
easiest way
your
to
income and
increase your income and change your value in your profession?
So
what's the easiest and quickest way to do that?
What's the question, Roger? I can't.
What's the easiest and quickest way to increase your value and to increase your income in your profession? And I'm gonna say, Uru, you sound terrible, brother. I love you like a play cousin, but you sound terrible, brother.
I heard you, Uru. I heard you clear
We
enough.
heard the question. Answer the question. It's an important question, and I'll let you go.
Okay, the question is to make sure the audience heard. He said, what is the best way to increase your value and your income in a professional situation?
Oh, so be valuable. Be valuable. Be valuable to the bottom line. Be valuable to the KPIs. Be irreplaceable.
Actually, that's not it.
Yes, it is.
No, the easiest way to increase your value.
Let me answer. Let me answer.
Your income in your profession is to change jobs, to change employer. That's a relevant response to Black women. If you change markets, when you change markets, when a significant number of Black men change markets, your value, perceived and actual, will skyrocket. Why they don't want you passport and all of that, because they know that making those moves instantly increase your value, increase the competitive draw for you.
Yeah. That's what I said earlier. I was like, shoot, if you had a job and you undervalued, you're going to be like,
pause.
oh, I'm going to leave.
Flag on the play. So first of all,
flag.
Yeah, because you didn't say what's the fastest way to increase your earnings. You said to be valuable to the company.
He said your value and your income.
No.
Value and your income.
I said to increase your earnings. I didn't say to increase your earnings and increase your market value.
All I heard was increase your value to the company. Because I really
no, that's not what Roger said it clearly when he repeated the question. He said
even
right.
if you increase your value to the company, they still gonna try and box you in and keep you where you're at. He's valuable, but he's still doing it.
So I still hold fast as KPIs to the bottom line, and let the record show. I came in the beginning and I said, give them what they want. They said we only like white women. Give them what they want. right? They say we like to like to drive their cars and shit in their toilets. Give them what they want. I said that in the beginning because at the end of the day, even if you are the prize, if people can't value it, it's pointless.
Yeah. The market's gonna step up with what you value yourself as it, but the market gonna tell you what they value. Like they're gonna be like, nah, that price too high. We ain't paying.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a situation of like the choice gets put back on you. It's kind of like speaking like boundaries, so to speak. Boundaries ain't necessarily like what you make somebody else do. It's what you're gonna do if somebody do something to you.
I agree with what a lot of you guys are saying, but there's a fundamental problem, and the fundamentals is always important. Men seem to think that they need to earn things that women want in order to be valuable. That's our biggest problem right now. That dude in that video, he should be hung out to dry.
Yes, may he get herpes.
May he get herpes. There we go. Because that dude was sitting there telling, listen, I keep saying it. The fact that you're a man makes you valuable. You know how women say, I'm a woman, and they, for some strange reason, they think that makes them valuable, even though they couldn't tell you the value they bring just because they're a woman. You bring value just because you're a man.
I disagree with that also.
It used to be we value because we can have kids, but it's like now they don't even want to do that.
They don't even want to do that. But you are valued just because you're a man.
And most of the world, truth teller is absolutely right.
No, the reason
in most of the world, your presence as a man in most of the world cannot be done at a fundamental level. It changes the environment in which a woman can operate just by virtue of her connection to you.
So I'm gonna and please, gentlemen, let me hear me out.
Yeah.
You existing does not have value. The reason why men have value is not because of you're just simply a man. It's because men in general bring more value to the community than women. It's not that you just exist, right? You bring safety, you bring protection, you bring ingenuity, you bring industry, things like that, right? A person's value is a person, whether gender neutral. A person's value is on what they can bring to the tribe or the community. So if
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, so if you're a man in the goddamn wheelchair in the Stone Age, you're useless.
No, you're not. So here we go. Whoa, hold on. See, Stone Age men had a lot of value to Stone Age women.
Yeah, exactly. Stone Age men.
If you're okay, let me not be hyperbolic.
I mean, I don't even know what you're arguing at this point.
Let me clarify. Jesus Christ. If you're a man in a wheelchair in the Stone Age, you are less valuable than a full able-bodied man. Okay?
All right. Now,
but you're still valuable to a woman. You're still more valuable than a woman.
That's not necessarily true, because if you're in that wheelchair and you're more knowledgeable about how the saber-tooth tiger hunts, or what sort of greenery is more poisonous than the other, you're much more valuable.
Thank you for that input. Roll your ass down that hill and get bit by
not if you're not valuable, not if you're not wise, they're not going to do that to you.
Now I'm gonna just say, being realistic, y'all, there was always these councils of older men with wisdom and that already had done things and was teaching younger people the ins and outs of the things that they would have to face in the future, or they were facing with at that particular time. But they aged out of having to do the actual processes. They had the younger men doing them for them at that particular point.
And none of those niggas were in wheelchair, by the way. None of those niggas were in wheelchair.
I don't think it was wheelchairs back then, but somebody probably carried them around. But my thing is, the issue is black men seeing themselves as a prize. That's what the issue, the number one issue that I'm addressing here. Black men don't see themselves as a prize. And because we have not seen ourselves as a prize for so long, we operate in these ways that allow other people to operate in a way that we don't necessarily like. So the first thing I got to do is I got to keep in mind that I'm the prize first. A woman cannot shame me for what I cannot do for her, because the only thing she's signaling to me is she's broke. I don't get nothing else. When a woman say, you know, if you can't do it, you broke. Well, you broker than me because you begging. It's one thing to be broke and not begging. It's a whole other situation to be so broke that you must beg. That's a different level of being broke. You can have all your bills paid and not technically have any real money, but everything you got is paid for. But then you can just be in a situation where you can't afford the stuff, the little you do got, you owe money on all kinds of stuff, and you need somebody else to beg so you can eat. That's a whole different type of situation right there. So somebody telling me what I can't afford, who need me to pay for them, is really, really broke. And I know that. And the thing is, I'm going to operate as if that person is really, really broke. Not to shame them, but because that is the real world that I live in. And I got to look both ways when I cross the street, even when I'm talking to broke people.
And if my life was fire before you came into it, I was doing dope stuff before you came into it, how you going to turn around and be like, well, you know, you don't want to do it for me, you must be broke. And it's like, I've been doing dope stuff before you got here, and I'm still be doing dope stuff if you ain't here. So who got the real problem here?
And I just want people to know that is the language of poor people. You know what I'm saying? I know ain't nobody saying it like that, but that is the language of poor people. But
I'm gonna translate for Raja. It's called stupidity, y'all. It's called
I want to say something really quickly.
Real quick, but after you, the nameless protagonist has come up, so I got to get him in.
Sure. Sun Tzu did not live during the Stone Age. He lived during the age of feudal Japan. And from Mumbai, from the hookers in Mumbai, nameless was.
Okay.
Get shout outs from hookers now in Dubai.
First of all, let me read this, y'all. First of all, I told folks stay out my chat, but if you're going to get in the chat, you got to at least say what they said that you responded to so people know. Gilgamy put in the chat, strategist Sun Bin, descendant of Sun Tzu, got his kneecaps removed as punishment, but still proved his usefulness through his magnificent mind. Okay, so that's what he was responding to.
You know what? Just for that, man, you're banned from the wilderness too. Go over there with your baby in the suburbs. You're banned, man. You're banned from the And but my bad protagonist from Indian Mumbai hookers, salute.
Fucking can't.
Go ahead, bro. You done walked into some nonsense.
to the chat and the folks on the panel. Us.
Y'all can unmute and say oath. It ain't gotta just be me. Y'all
and the Tijuana host too. They say us also. Tijuana host too.
Okay, shout out to Hot Sauce fam.
Brother is Stain Coochie and Hennessy. I changed my name.
Man, come on. You going
if you gonna call his name, you gonna call it right.
Right. Oh my goodness. Okay, so man, there was a lot I wanted to kind of piggyback on and follow up on. And I think I really want to highlight the warning that Uru was making earlier about being careful not to present shadow projections of masculinity and the validity that they have ascribed to targeting masculinity, which is what I think is the fundamental issue in all of this.
I'm being attacked today.
Well, it's because it was autonomic. What you did had nothing to do with your prefrontal cortex. It's not like you were out here on some, no.
I wasn't doing that. I was just going back in time, when I was, in high school. And everything.
Right. So what I'm saying is that emergent.
That's what I was trying to get to.
No. We know that. What I'm saying is the emergent consequence of that is when you do that then gets conscripted and it becomes we're going to call it the color purpling of the black male experience and existence here. So there's so many different narratives that have been built up around this caricature of just maleness in general. And I really want to validate that with a particular model you guys can look up that has come down from academia. It's known as the F scale. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read it to you. And when I read this to you, I want you to think about how many times people since the 1960s have been accused of having these characteristics which are inherent to masculinity and nuclear family orientation, which goes back long before the Neolithic era. So this is aspects baked into human behavior and human organization. I'm going to tell you where this F scale comes from if you don't have time to Google it, but I advise everybody Google this crap and take a look at it. And I'll explain the context for it later, but I'm just going to give you the 9 principles of the F scale. And this was published in 1950 by Theodore Adorno. And Adorno. And it blends in this idea of the collective unconscious and assumptions that come from Freudian behaviorism and psychology. So we'll speak to these 9 key characteristics. Number 1, conventionalism. It's described as a rigid adherence to conventional middle class values. Number 2, authoritarian submission. A submissive, uncritical attitude towards idealized moral authorities in the in-group. Number 3, authoritarian aggression. A tendency to be on the lookout for and to condemn, reject, and punish people who violate conventional values. Number 4, anti-introception. An opposition to the subjective, the imaginative, and the tender-minded. Number 5, superstition and stereotypy. The belief in mystical determinants of an individual's fate, or the disposition to think in rigid categories. Number 6, quote, power and toughness, end quote. A preoccupation with the dominant submission, strong, weak, leader-follower dimension, an exaggerated assertion of strength and toughness. Number 7, destructiveness and cynicism, a generalized hostility and vilification of the human. Projectivity, the disposition to believe that wild and dangerous things go on in the world, the projection of unconscious emotional impulses. And lastly, sex, an exaggerated concern with, quote, sexual goings on, end quote. This was a literal behavioral profiling list modality that started off as an attempt to categorize potential fascistic behavior from former small hats that were escaping Nazi Germany. They came here, studied at a lot of these schools that many individuals affiliated with civil rights were at, adopted these same modalities, and this is how they come up with the idea of modern day patriarchy, and later on, ideas of masculinity. So what I'm saying is, anytime you see certain behaviors attributed towards anything on this scale, it's pinging in that classification that you are somehow problematic. There's a lot of other modalities that go into that to recharacterize you as some sort of problem. But this is the beginning of the pathologizing of masculinity and just being in a non-progressive alignment, we'll say, for lack of a better term, for the time being. And so a lot of these dispositions that black men are targeted with are accusations that we want to be some sort of monster. We're trying to be some carbon copy of some evil patriarchal white dude in a room full of smoke with lightning flashing in the background, moo-ha-ha about how we're going to take over everything and everybody. It's that thesis that creates this antithesis that we're now trying to sort through. And many times it plays out, and really how we get the space, for example, the modern day conversations with the so-called gender war and why we have this natural idea of downplaying what you can do as a man. Because in the general sense, civilization makes you make concessions on what you could do for the promise of cooperation and access to family. And as technology, and as this technology has invaded the social space, it has gone out of its way to present the idea of masculinity not only being redundant, but at this point being some type of pathological thing that needs to be mitigated, medicated, controlled, or brought into some sort of context that it can be reclassified. I think I heard this the other day. We're, in other words, seen as defective women. So this is the inertia we're fighting against when we're trying to make these statements and really put into context the value of not just masculinity, but your inherent intrinsic value. Because like Hot Sauce was attempting to speak earlier, you don't just have value for being a dude in general. I will correct that later. In general, these things that he listed are implied tasks that go along with masculinity that we inherently understand. You don't get to be a grown man and not have an understanding for these things, because there's no tolerance for you not being able to do that unless you're in a controlled environment being used as some sort of husband son. So it's important to recontextualize, zoom out, and look at that much bigger picture from the top down. You do have value because of your capacity to provide order and balance wherever you go. And it's okay to do that. And it's rational to resist against the pathologizing of your very nature.
I'm going to say, well said. Now, when it all comes down to it, these qualities men have do make you a prize. But what's the value of a prize that you can't see? Before you worry about what the woman sees, do you see it? Now, if you a prize, do you put up with a woman that's cheating on you? Why would you? You a prize. That's not going to even cross your mind. Okay? Would you put up with a woman beating on you? If you a prize, how could that even cross your mind? Okay? If a woman's trying to check you in front of her friends, are you going to put up with that if you see yourself as a prize? See, a lot of problems will correct themselves if men actually had a good viewpoint of themselves. And ain't it funny how we live in a society where everybody begging black men to do something, but somehow I'm not supposed to see myself as a prize? If
Sounds
I'm not
like
the
a
prize, why you
sacrifice,
begging?
right? Again, it sounds like a sacrifice to me.
Well, I mean, but it's a blend of things, right? Like I said before, right? They're going to always quote unquote beg because men value is what they can contribute to society, right? That's how we have always been measured, right? Measured and weighed. You're measured and weighed by what you can contribute to your tribe, what can you contribute to your community, and what can you contribute to your nation in a general sense. So that's never going to go away, because what women have done masterfully, I might add, is they were able to take away their responsibility, their commitment to the community. They are seen to be valued just by existence, right? And I think Namus said this phrase that was very catchy, in my opinion, right? To be medicated, right? We are medicated as men to believe that masculinity is the end all, be all, and solve all, right? If a woman has to move a finger, then I'm not masculine enough, right?
Well,
I'm not prize enough.
Well, see, the thing is, what you give to society can still be valued, even if women are trying to receive stuff from you. But the thing is, you're still supposed to see yourself a certain way.
No.
Yeah,
But my point, what I'm trying to drive home is this: is that because I like the word medicated. We're medicated, or we've been. How can I say this in a more eloquent way?
Really, the word indoctrinated's probably really a better fit.
We've been I prefer the word roofie. We've been to believe that moving a finger for a woman makes us less masculine, and therefore we're less of a prize for this context, right? Because we've been dumped with all this type of toxic misinformation, and we've been medicated or roofied in the way that we can't see ourselves as the prize.
And that's why I call it the state.
See ourselves in the prize in relation to the woman.
That's why it's a state religion at this point. If
well,
you understand,
can I? Sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, James. My bad. Well, I was going to say I disagree with both you and Stank Coochie. I'm gonna have to disagree.
Appreciate you, brother.
I got shout out to you. Didn't invite me though. I'm gonna remember, but it's okay.
No. You're welcome back, man. You're welcome back.
All right, cool.
You're welcome, Truth. You're welcome, Truth.
So I think we misunderstand. So what I was saying earlier, I'm not being unclear about it. The fact that you're a man compared to a woman, your potential is more valuable than theirs. We only measure the level of a man. Other men make that measurement. Women don't make that measurement. They don't really have a choice. Because if all of us said, you know what, all these rules we got around masculinity and being valuable to the community and all of that is kicked out, they have no choice but to say, yeah, it's kicked out. They don't have an option. The only reason why they have an option is because men give it to them. Now, when you make a selection for anything in this world, when you hire somebody, when you make an investment, all of that is potential. Now, when you hire somebody, you're trying to make an educated guess. What do? You look at a resume. You look at their history. When you court a woman, what do? You look at her history. Because all you have is potential. And if all you have is potential, that means the only thing that is sure is their being, which is that they're a female or that they're a male. Now, the potential for men's potential outweighs the value of a woman's potential. If you were going to be stuck on a desert island, right, and Stan Coochie, you might answer this differently. You was going to be stuck on a desert island, and you had to choose, hey, do I want a woman on this island with me, or do I need another man on this island so I can survive for 6 months? You ain't going to pick the chick. It's just that simple. You don't even know where he is. He might not have legs. You're still going to pick the dude. He might be mentally incapacitated. At least he can carry stuff when I need him to. It's that simple. So I understand we want to put the sociological value system on men to make them the prize. But truth be told, that's only men doing that. That's not women. Women follow us saying, yeah, you're supposed to be like that. But if all men said, yo, if Pookie's good enough for all you hoes and we all gonna be Pookies, guess who they got to choose from in the future? Nothing but Pookies. It just is what it is.
So I want to say this because I want to make sure we're clear on that. I absolutely do not disagree with what you said, Truth Teller. So it's maybe I didn't make that clear. I had this literal conversation earlier this morning, and I said the only reason this is happening is because we've got the infrastructure we have. And so people are comfortable enough to not need to know how actual infrastructure is maintained. It's called the cost of maintenance. You know, people are ignorant of what actually goes into maintaining the society. And the moment the lights cut off, all of a sudden we're back to the Neolithic age and everybody knows what a damn man is again.
Toilet tissue, right?
Right. Right. Shout out to the pandemic, man.
Well, let me say this. Yo, I think a lot of people never sat down at the dinner table and caught the right message. I think, and you know what I'm saying? I'm using this as an example because I think everybody can truly understand it. Have you ever went to a dinner table when you was a kid and they was serving something and you was like, oh, well, I don't eat that stuff, or I don't like that. Which is fine. You're a kid saying you don't want to partake of the meal that was prepared for you. Maybe it's your parents, maybe it was somebody else's parents. I think a lot of folks never heard a man come in there and say, well, that's fine, you ain't got to eat. And didn't make no issue of it. He wasn't making it like a punishment. He was just basically saying, if you don't like the food that we're serving, you don't have to eat, which means you can go about your business because we have no concern about what you're going to do for food. See, when you see yourself as the prize, you say stuff like that because you know what time it is. You ain't losing nothing because somebody you need to feed don't want to eat. That's not a bother to me. That's no sweat off my back. Okay, that's no skin off my nose. I'm gonna eat and I'm gonna be fine. Why? Because I'm the prize. I got all this food here in the first place. I put this food in position so it can be cooked and served to people. And if you don't want to partake in it, just go hungry. I'm fine with you going hungry. Now, I understand some people may hear that and say, oh, that's being cruel. No, that's teaching children how real life works. So when they grow up one day, they don't need you anymore. And I think the issue with men is we allow women to treat us as if we're not a prize, but we're still trying to cover them at the same time. At some point in time, it's okay to, if she don't like how I'm driving, she don't like what I'm driving, it's okay to just pull to the side of the road and let her get out.
Okay. Interesting you said it about that because fortunately, growing up, on the dinner table, especially if you had your grandmother and everything else, and I said, I'm, the food is there and everything else, and you said, well, I don't like what I see right here. She said, well, that's just too bad. You're gonna have to eat it and everything else. I mean, shoot, that's what when I was growing up. Hey, that's what my grandmother was telling me. You're gonna have to eat what I put on that plate and everything else. And it's unfortunate that men back then were raised like that.
Well, I'm gonna say that's a slightly different context to say you have to eat. We've been told it's okay. You ain't got to eat. You can just go hungry. You have the option of getting what you need gonna pay for. Now you ain't got no job and you don't know where to get no money from. But if you don't want to eat what's on the table, you just go figure it out.
Yeah, true. That is true.
See, when you live in a world where repercussions come, you start operating a little bit different. When you become an adult, you're a little bit more sensitive about reality. And I think the issue is Black men, we want women to respect us, but we want to protect them from the real world at the same time. You're not going to get both. Sometimes you got to actually make a choice. It just is what it is. You got to make a choice. I don't care about some. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you're going to have to make a choice. Like a nigga working in Popeyes might be your best option for a husband, even if you got $1 trillion in the bank. That just might just be what you qualify for.
If I work at Popeyes and I got to pay for the date, the last thing you better say is you dating down. I don't care what you got. I don't care who your daddy is, what you got access to, or none of that. If you ain't paying, you just some broke chick I'm taking out. You don't get to make statements like that toward me because I'm paying. It's that simple to me.
I think there's also to be acknowledged, and again, I'm going to sound redundant highlighting this, but this is just coming from my seeing this from so many different angles now, because it's not just us dealing with this garbage. This is part of the liberal democratic model of industrialism right now. It's made this practice of putting men in this position where they have to prove their value in a hyper commoditized and commercialized artificial environment, which makes them look like defective women as a matter of liberation and freedom and what it means to morally fight against white supremacy. So anytime you are a dude, you've got to deal with this paradox of, and I'm saying this is the deal being offered, not the reality behind it all. You're being offered this ultimatum of demonstrate that you fit this neutered definition of masculinity that's been calibrated and defined by feminine in general terms, or take this mantle of being some sort of evil white patriarchal monster that wants to either identify with that or re-enslave women all over again. And I think the natural current leads people to the behaviors you're observing that are emergent, where there's this downplaying, this constant downplaying of your own masculinity potential and your ability to flip the table over.
Well, I think I agree with you, but I think it's really just about two things. One, because, like, for example, during antiquity back in Rome, what was the best gift a Roman woman could give Rome, right?
A child,
yeah, every woman knew it, right? Exactly what you just said, right? It's a woman's responsibility to birth children for Rome. And what we're seeing here is a couple of things. Number one, we're seeing female worship on a religious level, spiritual level. You're seeing the worship of women, right? Which is a key factor in modern society about to fall. That's another discussion for another day. Another thing you're seeing, which is being masterfully done, is to people, when we talk about value, when we talk about prize, right? It is what you offer society. And until modern times, both women and men were judged. Their value was based on what they could provide to society. There was never a time in history where women could behave like children and offer nothing to society. And I think we need to mention that more, because without mentioning that, or without educating men, we're going to have a huge uphill battle. Because women are not advocating for equal rights. Women are not advocating for men to simply be neutered. Women are advocating for deity. Worship me. Bow at my feet. My existence is enough.
What?
That's why I called it a de facto state religion. That's why I meant when I said that earlier.
I got you.
And I do get y'all points, but the question for me is, as a man, why would I even care? I don't care what women talking about. You know what I'm saying? If you're not my woman, it's not.
Well, that's as a man. That's as a man. So what we're talking about is the environment, Roger. So we're co-signing your point. We're just showing you the mechanisms that are at play that produce these outcomes we're seeing right now.
I totally get what y'all saying, but I'm just saying when we have to live in this real world where if my tire go flat, I can't call no woman to come change my tire. You know what I'm saying? If my mama need me to change her tire, I'm more likely to go change her tire than me calling my mama telling her I need my tire changed, and that's my mama.
But Roger, as a man, you need to feed your family. You need to feed yourself, and it will be better for you to have fingernail polish on in the interview.
I can't feed nobody if I'm hungry. If I'm hungry, I ain't worried about what you eat.
Well, you need to feed yourself, right? So it would behoove you to walk in the interview with nail polish on.
I get what you're saying, and some stuff you just got to pass. You know, it's just like to me, it's like asking for a raise. I've never asked for a raise, and I never will. You know, if I'm working a job and I ain't paid enough money, I'm just looking for the next job. There's no point of asking for a raise. You already had a chance to give me what I wanted. You had that chance every day I showed up. Why would I talk to you about needing more money?
But the thing is, what me and Nameless are trying to say is that when we're talking about the prize, it's not just simple. It's more complicated than just having a change of mindset. It's how to operate in the environment that deems you guilty. It is double guilty as being a black man. On top of that,
hey, I do totally get what y'all saying. It's just my thing is there should be certain responses to certain things that go on, because at the end of the day, you ain't got enough balls to deem me guilty.
Well, let me say this to your point, Roger. What you do is you start at where this is beginning at, which is the idea that masculinity is subject to suffix and prefix. It's seen as something that's mutable, and the very definition of masculinity is the opposite of that. Masculinity is immutable. Masculinity is masculinity. That's the same way they treat femininity. So what they've done is they've attached qualifiers to this word masculine, and that's where the problem begins, characteristically and fundamentally. Champ, go ahead, fam.
I think the problem is where the men buy into it, because to me, you describe a bunch of people that want to miss out on stuff. See,
well, that's described.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah. My thing is, the way I was taught, if people can't see what's going on, they get to miss out, and they'll figure it out later.
But
See,
they're
if men,
rewarded for it. Yeah,
well, that's
go
what I'm
ahead.
saying. If men buy into the nonsense, of course, the society is going to push you in a ridiculous fashion. I don't disagree with none of that at all.
No, but I mean, but we can't like. This is where I'm going to disagree a little bit because it's starting now, right? You got little white niggas at 5 and 6 years old being taught that they have menstruation as well, right? That's being taught right now. So you can't be like, well, at 18 you believe this. Well, I was taught this at 5. And people don't change.
And what you've got to do is now you've got your entire development. Yeah, to your point, fam. Stank Coochie and Hennessy. To your point, you've got to fight all these years of your critical developmental orientation, followed by the media support behind it and reinforcement by being rewarded with jobs, opportunities, and being accepted. That is a thing.
Yeah, and that's where we come in, because as we just celebrated, Labor Day weekend and everything else, and I said it earlier, one of the reasons why I believe that we are the prize is that we built, because we came in here, we're part of the industry, we're part of the technology, we're part of the middle class and everything, even though it's shrinking and everything else, and without the middle class, without black men particularly, there is no middle class.
But wait, do you remember what I said earlier about that F scale? So we're back again. It's literally where is it at? Oh my God, it's right here. Yeah, it's the very first one. It's called conventionalism. Quote, a rigid adherence to conventional middle class values. So we're back again to how all of this is being pathologized as some sort of evil, which is what I'm saying. That's directing the current. And when you've got this, and again, I'm not saying this on some guys, we can't do it, it's hard. No, I'm saying this is the type of egregious nonsense they've done to turn this into a de facto religion, which is why there's so much pushback and assumption baked into it, because now it's in the realm of culture. There's certain neurological predispositions that lead people to intentionally downplay both as a form of conditioning and as a mechanism of survival. You know how many people, and I get it, Roger, get fired. All right, cool. Find another way. I'm just saying most people aren't going to do that. And especially they're not going to do that when that's the general rails of what is being presented to them as behavior that is conducive to a healthy citizen, even though it's causing all of these side effects. It's like they've convinced people to eat lead, which, that happened in the 1800s with a lot of these products. Folks was eating lead or having lead in the products they were using. And that was just the way things were until an organization showed up and said, nah, this is killing people. This is what we're experiencing, but on a psychosomatic sort of sense when it comes to this concept of masculinity.
Well, it is one thing to eat lead when you don't know it's damage. It's a whole other thing to eat lead when you know it's killing.
But I mean, I think the point we're trying to make is that, because in essence we would all agree, but the point we're trying to say that now it's systemic, it's structural.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I do also believe even when you're in the system as an individual, you must operate on what's best for you. So you can operate on what's best for your family. So you can operate on what's best for your city. So you can operate on what's best for your state.
But then, we're talking about your country. But then when we're talking about what's best for your family, what's best for your city, things like that. Now we're talking about funding.
Yep.
Now we're talking about reform.
You're getting into
now
politics.
We're talking about.
No. I mean, I get you, and those are very strong points, and none of that means anything until I can operate on what's best for me. Politics don't matter if I'm suffering.
I think it's simultaneous. I don't think you can divorce it, and that's really the issue. When you only express yourself in one way, you leave yourself entirely too vulnerable in the other. You've got to have a strategy. And it's to your point, Roger, you're making a correct statement that men are the prize. The problem is, how do you act on that without, in an environment where being male is actively targeted? heavily medicated, man. Like I know everybody likes looking at this from some Alex Jones crap, but when he was highlighting how the industrial system is making the frogs gay, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
True. Yes.
Yeah, like no, and I heard you cut off, but nobody understands right now how environmental racism is really affecting the hormones of Black people and Black children in particular. One of the reasons why it went from 1% to 25% is because of the environmental pollution.
Right.
They think that shit
alone.
Like, you have no idea how many Black neighborhoods are sitting in environmental pollutions that is destroying the hormones that are creating certain
like drinking, like the Flint, Michigan situation in Jackson, Mississippi, with the water situation that hasn't been fixed at all. And then just recently in my home city in St. Louis, we just found out that, the U.S. government was experimenting on Black people by dumping all this toxic stuff on us and everything else. And many of them are dying from rare form of cancer, liver cancer,
40%,
lung cancer.
40%. 40% of the hood is within a 20-mile radius of a landfill.
Right.
Why is landfills important? Because landfills have disposable plastics that leak into the soil that cause soil to be toxic. That toxic soil leaks into the streams and the waters that you drink from.
Right.
Not only that, what makes it worse is that they've already got it stated that, and that's just the landfill point alone, just general emissions, they're higher in Black neighborhoods. Yeah. Furthermore, they know for a fact that a lot of those compounds binds to melanin more aggressively. So not only are they there more so, they cause more metabolic problems, especially down the line. So if you've got generations of people who are hyper concentrated in these areas that are hyper developed, you've got all these emissions that have these heavy metals and all these things that are barely legal being done so they can save money. Then you've got the landfill conversation, which now you're talking about damaging the water, the ground table and all of that. That stuff leaks out everywhere. These things actually have impacts on your biochemical predisposition. So we're not even just, it's bad enough that it is affecting these things, but part of the bonus package is it does influence testosterone in a negative way.
Yes, and it also has a generational effect as well too. It has a generational
it sounds like what y'all are trying to get me to do is to get on even more of a masculine tangent than I already been on. That's what it sounds like.
We're trying to say because and this just reinforced the point, right? Because when he talked about the biological predisposition, so not only was your mom a slut, now with the chemicals, you're a Super Saiyan slut.
Well, to me, that just means
crazy too. Causing
well, it means men. So men need to take this prize thing even. I'm saying men need to take this prize thing even more serious and stop and get to the point of just being no nonsense with it. But I mean, we gotta first of all accept we the prize, and I think that the best way for somebody else to see your value is for you not to help them. Okay, it is okay for Black men to do well and other people
let me lend you some intellectual social technology to help with that. The idea that's been thrown around since the 1920s has been this concept of equality. I would posit that if instead of equality, we start using terms like equilibrium.
Yes.
I think that, and because people don't know what balance means anymore, I think concepts like equilibrium make more sense because that's what we're describing here. If you've got a situation where everything is equal, that means that system, because this is what we're describing here, is dead. When you've got equilibrium within the system, that's a different thing. It means you've got forces that are under balanced pressure with one another and can function in asymmetrical patterns that allow for the system to be healthy. Because what that does is it returns the conversation to a greater civilizational context. Because people have been able to reduce society to a series of classifications, it allows for this equal comparative analysis, which permits this identity-based redistribution predicated on grievance idea. And I'll use a visceral illustration of this. A big common complaint about the civil rights movement and men's coverage in it is stemming from the simple fact that while men were a large majority of the vanguard, and as a sub-consequence of it, not an objective, but as a sub-consequence of it, they were in the front and center, being talked about, being spoken about. When you look at the people who were killed, that was the price of being put forward that way, which is a risk men do voluntarily to protect women, not rule over them as though they are some sort of lesser entity, which is the way it gets posited. So later on, outside of that context, when we begin looking at these same things, the assumption that you're out front because you're some monster is lost, because the reality is we're out front because we don't want them to die. So when you understand synergy and equilibrium, you understand and can acknowledge the inherent risk, which is why men are the prize, because men are the sacrifice.
There you go.
Well, let me say this. People die every day, B. People die every day, B. Shout out to Cameron.
Hey, Raj, I'm gonna land my plane right now. But hey, this is a well discussion topic that you brought up, man. So thank you very much, brother.
I appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.
Everybody.
Now I'm gonna.
Peace, fam.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say, as black men, we got to be okay with seeing people suffer, because women are going through some suffering. I'm not gonna act like they ain't going through some suffering. They're not married. I don't care. Y'all see how that work? They not married. I don't care. That's how society's supposed to work. If they wanted the benefits of the men, they would be married to the men. If they think they can make it without them, go ahead. You're in a free country. Knock yourself out.
See, but the thing about it is, there's action and reaction. And hearing Amos talk and bringing out the different modalities and things like that in the F series made me kind of think that if you teach black men to behave like the prize, they're going to actually, because dealing with all types of people, right? What you expect, you're actually going to get the opposite. If you're telling black men to be the prize, you're actually going to do the opposite of what? And I think we need to bring the era of being trifling. Because if, like, for example, we talk about being equal, equilibrium, and equity. So you have a grown man, a child, and a teenager. No one can see over the fence. So equal would be everybody gets the same height box. So the teenager can see over the fence a little bit. The grown man can easily see over the fence, but the young child cannot. Equity would be everybody would get a box fitting to what they need so they can see over the fence. But the age of trifling is, hey, B, people die every day. And I think that's what black men need to do, right? Because I've been on record a long time saying we're not tribalistic enough, we're not racist enough, and because of black men's good-spirited nature, by endowing them with the prize, all you're going to do is bolster the benevolence that's already in them.
But benevolence is okay. But if you steer benevolence in a better, hold on. If you steer benevolence in a better direction, we get better results.
Let me hit you both with a term. Let me hit you both with a term to merge it, because this concept here.
Let me just say this really quickly. Unfortunately, there's some things that black men cannot handle, just like crack addicts. If you give a crack addict a pound of coke, shit is gone. Allow black men to continue to be benevolent. It's going to be age of trifling needs to happen. I'm gonna leave it there.
I will. Damn it, man.
The examples, man. The examples.
Right. I was going to try to introduce this term I call benevolent indifference. And I think that merges the concept that you both are talking about in different ways. And it's not a static predisposition. It's sensitive to circumstance. But I'll just close by simply saying that this is the whole reason why I advocate for political Mandalorianism, which is understanding that worth. And if you're not getting what you want from the contract, punishing by what you will do and what you will not do. And tell them cut the new contract or you're out. It's really that simple.
Well, I mean, I can roll with that. And benevolent indifference sounds fine to me, because guess what, y'all? I got a car. Okay, maybe 100 people need to be saved, and I got one car. We got to get out this area because this area is going down. How many people can I fit in my one car and I be okay? See, my thing is 5. What? 3 in the let's say 3 in the back, 1 in the passenger side. We good. We got 5 adults in a regular size sedan. Because that's what most cars, regular size, you got 5 adults. 100 people want to come. Man, I take 4, y'all. I mean, if 96 gotta die, I'm okay with that as long as I'm alive. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not that big of a deal for me. I'm rolling. It's my car. I fit 4 people in with me, comfortable, and we getting up out of here. Now, there will be some people that say, well, can I ride in the trunk? And maybe 2 of them say, well, we small enough, we can ride in the trunk together. Well, you gonna slow me down if you ride in the trunk. Somebody gonna say, I can lay across the people's lap so we can get some extra people. Well, you gonna slow me. See, everything beyond the people that was made, it can fit 5 adults in easy. Everything beyond that 5th adult is now a problem for me. You're trying to increase my chances of dying. And I get it, you want to live, but you're not gonna live because you ain't have a car. And that's just what it comes down to at the end of the day. And it's okay. It's okay.
And see, while I can appreciate, I'm kind of shocked to name this actually. I kind of shocked because listen, if I date Keisha from Chicago, right, and I come back and I say, man, this Labor Day weekend I got shot being around the hood, and I also found out that the kid ain't even mine. Nobody's gonna be really surprised about that. Why? Because epigenetically, Keisha comes from what is it, like a birthing center, right? Where women gave 10 births to be free. It's in the blood, right? It's in the blood. And benevolence is in the blood of Black men because of slavery, right? We were taught by our mothers to be downplayed because that was a survival mechanism. Downplay our worth. Be a little bit more accommodating, right? So
the egalitarian model.
Yeah. So when you say these trigger words, MK Ultra words, Rufus Nice Guy, the reason why it's not working is because you're using the word nice.
Well, that's why. That's why. Well, no, the reason why that works is because in order to be to that point, and this is the key thing, man. You said what?
It's in the blood. It's never going to work.
Well. That's
so
for some people. Oh, go ahead.
My point is this: you got to indoctrinate white supremacy tactics. When they say, "I'm going to get in the car," the answer is no. No explanation. Just no, nigga. And drive the fuck on.
That's what I'm saying, though. Benevolent indifference is the mechanism that helps close that loop. So if you understand, listen, and let me qualify that. I'm not saying that you are some sort of individual that doesn't have boundaries. Having a form of benevolent indifference is reframing the idea of boundaries so that we don't have this anaphylactic reaction to think that we're being evil monsters that hate people. It's the complete opposite. It's specifically because of us being in the very conditions you were describing that an idea like benevolent indifference can work when you've cultivated the strength to say no, which we haven't cultivated as a standard.
It's time to be the monster.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I think Black men have an issue because we have too much concern with other people's conclusions. If there's 100 people that need to be rescued, I'm driving one car. I'm benevolent by letting any of y'all get in. I don't owe y'all squat. And guess what? If my brother happened to be there, then that's a seat already taken. If my sister there, that's another seat already taken.
You're missing the point. You're missing the point.
No, hold on. I'm saying at some point in time, we got to interject. Put like this. I go to an event, right? I go to the event. All right. Food is starting to get served. Okay. I tell a girl to get out of my chair. Now, why I tell a girl to get out of my chair? Because you a kid. You're not even a woman. You a kid. Plus, the food is just not getting served. You eat. There's men who have not been served. Get up, do your job. You see what I'm saying? We got to implement stuff. See, when you are prize, you do stuff like that because you know how this is supposed to be. We're in an event, the food is being served. You a girl who's going to eventually be a woman, and you sitting down trying to eat, and this men ain't even ate yet. They ain't got no plate. No, you don't let that happen under your watch. As a woman, you need to get up and make sure every man got a plate. Then you worry about finding a place to sit down and eat. Now, other people think that that's cruel to tell some girl to get up. How? How is she going to be a woman, feed men first before she sits down and eat, but she's not being told to do so as a girl? How's that supposed to work?
No,
it don't.
My point is, gentlemen, is this. What I'm getting to is this. The way, I guess maybe it's a marketing issue. The way we're saying to be benevolent, the ruthless nice guy, things like that. It's like feeding a crack addict, a rehab crack addict, a nice meal, and with a little pinch of cocaine on the side.
Oh, you don't think people can balance the imbalance because so
I
cool.
can serve you cocaine on the side and you're not taking it.
No, I'm not. Yeah, there's a discipline mechanism that's there. So I'll concede that point.
Truth teller's gonna smoke it up. So.
Yo, let my man live, dog. He in the chat. Truth ain't do shit, man. Come on.
We're shooting up. So yeah, it's a discipline thing. Yeah, thank you.
So I would say that, and here's something I want to remind you of. The black men become monsters the moment we say no. And in many instances, we also become monsters the moment we aren't enthusiastic enough about saying yes. So anything we do becomes a baseline, which is why I meant by that earlier statement, black men are the prize because black men are the sacrifice. I don't know any other way of really articulating that any more clear to highlight the point that's there.
Right, but that's my point. Black men are the prize because they're the sacrifice. We got to stop being a sacrifice.
That's the whole point. I got a whole series of Stay tuned. Stank, Coochie, and Hennessy. Stay tuned.
I'm gonna say no. I'm not saying at all that you have to sacrifice yourself to be the prize. It didn't even come to mind for me. I don't even think sacrifice like that. It's when it's necessary, but usually it ain't. A sacrifice is rarely necessary.
We're still expected to if the time comes. That's the whole reason we're tolerated.
But I think that the main thing is it's about what we want. Forget everybody else's expectations.
That's not what I'm saying. But I'm not saying to appeal to that point. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not trying to put that as you saying it, but I do think that's one of black men's major issues. If we saw ourselves as the prize, a lot of stuff that we quote unquote are trying to fight wouldn't even have been implemented in the first place because we don't care.
No, let me highlight a very clear nuance here. I'm saying if you weren't valuable, your value as a sacrifice would be meaningless. Do you understand the nuance here?
Very true. Very true.
That's what I'm trying to highlight by saying that point. That's what I think we miss.
And my thing is, whatever we sacrifice for ourselves, if we gonna sacrifice something, let it be for black men. Because real talk, the women have already told us time and time again, whether we heard them or not, They ain't with us in the first place. So I don't even know why we talking about sacrifice for somebody that ain't with us.
But it's because we're already accounted for. Like, it's the same way a loan works. In fact, loans and assets work on that exact same principle.
Hey, if I ain't borrowed with you, don't look for me to pay it back. That's all.
That's why I'm saying we kind of need to move away from these words of the prize. We need to embrace the monster. Be like, okay, look, when you're not saying yes enthusiastic enough, they're going to call you a monster. Embrace it. When you say no, they're going to call you a monster. Embrace it. Mamba mentality. If someone did not call you a monster today, you left up as a black man today. Right? If someone did say, I hate your guts today,
well, I said before we should embrace being the villain.
He said embrace being the villain. That idea of Tenma. Oh, Black Uru,
Right.
go ahead, fam.
I just want to let my play here. Because
Well,
at the end of the
I haven't had the chance to talk much, so
yeah, I just want to let my play right.
I mean, just let me emphasize.
But I don't interrupt, so I respect to not be interrupted. So at the end of the day, right, because words matter and words have trigger points. And when you say shit to black men like Prize that have been Disneyfied and educated in that manner, it's like giving a pound of coke to Pookie. They're gonna go crazy. And I let my play, man.
Right. Go ahead, Black Uru. Go ahead, Black Uru. Oh, he's muted. He must be. He might be pulled away to something because he unmuted his mic.
Let me say this then. The extended version. If I come over, Roger, if we came over your house for dinner, right? Me, you, protagonist, and truth teller, right? And then you had a nice meal. Then we're gonna top it off with some chocolate mousse, champagne, and a little bit of Coke. Now I might nibble a little bit. Nameless is not gonna do any, but truth teller, he's gonna go to town on that shit, right? So that's all I'm saying, man. You just gotta meet people where they at.
I mean, I do get you, but I will say I do think black men have to get to a point where we're not concerned with other people's conclusions.
No, but it's a trigger amongst ourselves in our culture. It's not like when you tell a nigga he's a nice guy, he's in his mind that means to sacrifice. Like what Nameless said, right? To be the sacrifice.
What I mean, don't get me wrong. I do believe that that's thoroughly in some black men. I do believe it's definitely in there. You know, and the reason I say be the roof of the nice guys because yeah, it's nice to be thought about as a nice person, but just being nice don't mean you don't do the other stuff that's necessary to get your point across. If it takes that to get your point across, so be it. And I think a lot of black men don't have enough so be it in them. Okay, this is my community. I'm gonna run it the way I see fit. You can sit over there and talk about all your little theories about what you think a man should be. I don't actually care about none of them at the end of the day. Only men will make those decisions. And when it comes down to it, if I don't think, and if I think you're a woman-led man, I'm not gonna even let you make the decision as a man. It's that simple at the end of the day. So me being the prize means there's a certain expectation I have. I have to make you rise up to my standard. Your standard ain't even worth considering. Okay, I don't even pay no attention to your quote unquote standard. They don't matter to me. You ain't paying for nothing. You ain't about nothing for real. Only thing that matters is if you can make mine. And that's it.
I think Uru's back. Wait, I think Uru's back.
Go ahead, Black Uru.
Well, I'll just say the only time I ever really thought about my responsibility and even ownership of a community is when I got married, and especially when we had children. Prior to that point, I didn't really think much at all about any sort of community or school systems or the crime statistics of the area or whatever. It was only when I invested in making a family, children, being concerned about what's happening when I'm not around to protect them. It was only then when I really made an investment in community. I started homeowners association, led voting, voting drives, and I did a lot of community things from the perspective of trying to secure a community for my family, for my children, for my wife. So the reason why I will always uh, say that you got to leave and find somebody you want to and feel comfortable building with, because it inspires things within you that you don't really think about as much when you're just by yourself.
Yeah. And I just want black men, wherever they do go, to show up as the prize. If you're not going to show up as the prize, why go in the first place? You know, a lot of issues that we have can be pushed to the side once you act like a prize, because some things ain't going to be your concern. Matter of fact, as a person who grew up in Chicago, right? Okay. Man taught me, if you in trouble, you call the gun that's close. Most people think call 911. Okay. Now, I'm realistic. If I call 911, they not going to come save me. So I need to call the gun that's close. Because if I call the gun that's close, I can live. If I call 911, I'm probably going to die. Now, technically, that's not the way it should be. We pay all these taxes and whatnot, but the police ain't coming. You know what I'm saying? And if you operate as if the police is going to come, they will show up eventually to take statements about your death. That will eventually happen. But why act like the police going to save you when you know they not? And that's what I'm saying. Well, we as black men, we got to learn to cross the street looking both ways. I don't care what people tell me. Okay, I look at what reality is telling me. If you call the cops, some good things supposed to happen. Reality said if I call the cops, I'm probably gonna die. If they trying to kill me, I'll be dead before the police show up and do anything. If they trying to rob me, they will have my stuff before the police show up and do anything. If they trying to beat me up, they're going to beat the brakes off me before the police show up and do anything. But people say call 911 all day long. And I'm not saying don't call 911 if you want them there eventually for your reporting purposes, so you can fill out your insurance claims and all that type of stuff. But if you in Chicago and you calling them, to save you, why even make the call? Call the person who's actually going to do it. I'm a prize. I'm going to treat women as if I'm one, and I'm not going to dumb myself down to make them comfortable. If you don't like being with a prize, don't be with it. End the story for me. I'm dating down because I'm dating
It's
you.
interesting. The gun analogy you make is an interesting one. But look at that, and this is an apt analogy that you make, because that analogy that you cited, it's not legal to have a gun in Chicago or New York City. So in that analogy of calling the nearest gun near you, you committed a felony by doing so, and have made that gun that you're bringing to you a felony. So that's the same thing we're really talking about here with the whole prize and family thing, the whole prize in the context of the world that has in every way taken that away from generations, and not just disease or millennials or whatever. I mean, there's been a strategic effort to do that, going back to the younger silent gen folks. We're talking about what, 5 generations back. So you got a lot of programming to unravel to get to that point. One of the reasons why I say, probably the best thing to do is to just leave the country is because when you go somewhere else, there's a default to the man being in the prize position. There's a default to that. So you're not having to fight against all of the society arguing otherwise. You get there, you get off the boat, you're a big, strong, strapping man with some resources and a nice smile, and you're probably a little bigger than many of the men, depending on where you are, so you just put yourself in a position where your presence itself makes you the prize without you having to be constantly sort of fighting for that. I mean, it's okay if you like yourself are prepared to do that psychically, but we got generations of black men who have been undone psychically of that sense of themselves, and it's asking a lot for most of them to be able to unravel that, frankly.
Black Uru, can I ask you, because you're an excellent resource for this with your experience and noticing this. Starting around 1964, did you begin to see a trend of the elders grooming the boys to begin that process of, I'm going to call it masculine contextualization? In other words, adding these prefixes to things that should be already inherently understood, but adding all of these modifiers and conditions relative, not to getting the job done, but to making women feel more comfortable.
You know what? I did not see. I saw men doing what they'd always done, but I saw the environment change. If in 1950, I'm going to, I want to make my wife happy. I can make my wife happy and still run that household, still be a man, still have the final word. You understand what I'm saying? So it wasn't so much that the men started to change, just that the environment changed around them. So it took things that they normally did and may have been good things, but it changed the effect of a lot of those things and made what might have been good qualities, like I said, in the 40s or 50s or 60s, it made for terrible qualities after that because of the other things that have happened around it. That's more of what I saw.
Okay. So that's consistent with, or rather, would you ascribe a lot of the environment changing due to new technologies making their way to the commercial availability of people?
Certainly, and the commercial availability. It's like, I've said this before, it's a whole different world when you have to spend thousands of dollars and maybe hundreds of hours learning something versus a couple of keystrokes into Google. That's a very different world. That's a very different perspective of humanity. That's a very different ethos, right? It's a very different ethic. So some of these comparisons and conversations and criticisms of the past are very odd to me because they're so out of context with the actual world that black people, for Christ's sake, black men in particular, lived in.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you've got a lot of informational entropy on the context of how we got here. And so that leaves people susceptible to narratives that really may not even be in our best interest. And I think they lead to that end result. That's why I wanted to get your experience put out there as far as that concerns, in particular, Black Uru, because this is something that's quickly disappearing year by year.
Yeah, well, of course,
it's sad.
Oh, go ahead, Black. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, it's sad because I think a lot of younger men don't realize that, it's okay to think that you have access to information and you can do things and you can hop on a plane and go around everywhere. But the basic principles of things do not change. And your adversary is much more deeply rooted in the past and the benefit of the past than you are. And what you don't realize is you're looking at things that have been built up over the course of generations, over the course of hundreds of years, maybe in some cases thousands of years, and you think you're going to surmount that in with your very little resources and very little time and experience on this earth. And there are people who namesakes go back, 1,000 years almost, and they're very much rehearsed in what their namesakes mean. So, I think, look, I get the thing, the notion of being the prize and whatever. It's very difficult to just eat that and do that and feel that on your own. That's going to be a product of upbringing, and that's going to be a product of where you position yourself in the world and how the world responds to you. And if you come up in a situation where you've never been the prize, then you got to put yourself in an environment where you're much more likely to get positive reinforcement in that regard. Because most of us are not as, psychically durable to defy all aspects of what we see around us, telling us something to the contrary to what we want to think and feel about ourselves. Most of us at some point need some real positive, stimulus saying, yeah, we are great. You are a man, and you are valuable just by virtue of you being a man. In almost all other areas of the world, a man is going to get that. He's going to receive that in his society. He's not competing against that. It's only here where you're competing, you're having to live this sort of dual existence of what you want to and what everybody else thinks and says about you. Nobody else has to fight this fight quite like that. And it's daunting and it's eroding. And you think you're strong enough to deal with it, you drop dead at 60 years old.
You're starting to bore, Guru. Yeah, I definitely see his point. If he comes back, I'll keep an eye on this. Are you back, Guru?
No, that was me unmuting.
Oh.
You're
still a little bit. No,
go ahead, Black Rose. Go ahead.
Again.
Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say if you can't hear me.
No, you're back.
No, yeah, you're back now. You're back. We hear you now.
Oh, I'm just saying it's not enough to just want to view yourself a certain way. You have to put yourself in an environment in which you're actually receiving that. That's all I'm saying.
Black Guru, to your point, this is a big reason why I wrote this Political Mandalorian Manifesto. I'm going to send you an email on that. And I like to kind of get your thoughts on that as well. But it's what we've been talking about earlier as far as getting into understanding these mechanisms. If you don't understand that the reason why you're held to such a disproportionate expectation for sacrifice, if you don't understand that it's because you have an inherent value, then getting to that, breaking that conditioning of seeing yourself as lesser than, because most men are born into a position where they're believing that they're compensating for being born. I think I said this a few years ago, man, and I'm gonna really stand on that. For a long time, a lot of people who are, especially millennials, they're born under this pretense that they owe because they exist. And it's in stark contrast to the girls that are grown up, that are born under an expectation. And if there is something that they're believed to owe because they were born, men are expected to make up that cost by way of being tolerated. And I think that this is a relic of the way things used to be, because there was an understanding that you would get respect for that. You would get access to family. You would get a baseline appreciation, which has been really conflated to ego at this point and degraded as towards its maintenance capability. Now it's turned into a withdrawal of these things, and then later on turned into a kind of disrespect, which is framed as progression. And so people are being acclimated to this self-deprecating sort of way of being, to the point where your masculinity is not only seen as an inherent problem, it has to be qualified and be given all of these different pretexts to be accepted, rather than seen as an inherent thing that's just real. And like we were saying earlier, for many of us, it's not until we get out of this industrial commercialized environment, not due to capitalism, but due to this liberal democratic financial model that brings with it all of these additional expectations that are being reclassified as civil rights, but are really just ways of creating these arguments of grievance-based redistribution predicated on identity, largely by being female. It's not until you go to places that don't have that as the prevailing way of being, and even if it is, it's only recent, that you get to have the experience of being valued purely because you're a dude. And for many of us in particular, classified as Black, we already do things that allow us to stand out in other cultures. We are far more egalitarian historically and in general. And I just mean our capacity to accommodate, our capacity to operate and respond positively to cooperation. I think that is downplayed to a degree where we don't realize how in some instances we appear as feminine to other men because we're willing to go in the kitchen and cook. We don't expect to have certain things done because we've been conditioned to think that that's somehow slave behavior, when in other places they're socialized to see that as just being the way they treat people. And if you've got a dude, this is how you're treated. And if there's a chick there, that's how they're treated. And that's to Stan Coochie and Hennessy's point earlier. That is so ingrained. And I think it goes even beyond the plantation. There's a lot of that was happening on the continent and the diaspora. So when I made mention of really highlighting the fact that you're the prize because you're the sacrifice, it's designed to begin that process of reframing, to understand that it's okay to say no. It's not only okay to say no, in many instances, you won't be able to do what you need to do unless you say no.
And I just want to say, none of this stuff works if men think and operate as if they're the prize. This stuff does work because we don't accept that. You know, and the thing about us accepting it, nobody can fix that but you. Nobody can determine what you accept but you. And there's no getting around that. Now, me, I accept that I'm the prize. And everybody else just has to adjust to it. Trust me, there have been people who had to make an adjustment because I come off as if I'm the prize. It ain't comfortable all the time. But I'm confrontational anyway, so it's all right. You know, and confrontation don't mean violent. It doesn't mean bad. It just means you address a situation. But Jado done came up, so let me let Jado get the mic real quick. Go ahead, my brother. So
hey, what up?
Used to.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, I have to. I don't. Hey, man.
You ain't got to explain, brother. You good?
No, bro. Hey, I appreciate you having me up, man. I don't have much to add, man. I came in midway through the show or whatever, so I didn't catch everything, man. But great conversation. I had a question, a very sincere question, but just the conversation kind of reminds me. You know what sitcom, very popular sitcom in the 90s, I think maybe late 80s too, Married with Children, man. Just kind of it kind of looks like Al Bundy's whole life or whatever, kind of how like he didn't view himself as the prize or whatever, and you know his wife used to joke on him, crack on him. Every now and then they would have moments where I guess they would be appreciated. You see some type of love between them, but it seemed like his life was miserable as a whole, man. But anyway, I mean, I got mixed feelings about the whole topic, so I'm not going to get into it.
Simpsons
But I just want to, that too, absolutely. I wanted to ask for anybody can answer this. Damn, did Ooh drop down? He dropped down. I want him in. Nameless, you as well. Like I hear, I listen to BGS. Nameless, I've listened to some of your stuff, and just
Stop
period.
living
Well,
up that motherfucker.
and I've heard like the environment when we're speaking about a lot of these topics, the environment, and it seems to be like it's something separate from the people. And am I wrong in thinking that, like, as if the environment is something separate from the people, or
look at it like this? So when you see, I'm gonna give you an illustration that we get in training to describe this concept that I want to get you privy to. Take a look at the instance of clapping. There's two parts of that. There's the act of your hands coming together, and then there's the emergent consequence of that. What part do you describe the clap occurring?
what part do I describe?
Yeah, how would you describe the clap? At what point is it a clap? And Stank, Coochie, and Hennessy don't.
Well, I guess for people to sense it, I guess, yeah, the actual sound, when your hands actually come together and create the sound.
So that doesn't eliminate the fact that your hands had to come together first for that to occur.
Your brain had to come up with the thought, and then the nerve signals, all that. Yeah, right.
We also use that parallel with a lightning scenario where there's the flash and then there's the thunder that accompanies it. They're spoken as if they're two separate things, but they're the same phenomenon.
Right.
And you can perceive them with different senses. It's this kind of relationship that human beings have with environment, if you understand what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay. I guess. Yeah. I mean, it seems like we're a lot of times. It seems like if it's spoken on as if it's two separate entities, like they're not even. And how much humans affect the environment. It seems like it's spoken on as if it's separate things a lot of times. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna chill here and just
I would love to
listen
answer
up.
your question as well.
All right. Yes, sir. Please.
I mean, but I don't want to force my opinion. So, I mean, is it okay? I don't want to.
No, brother. I didn't even know that was you up there. Yeah, I would like anybody, bro. Please.
Okay. So, as eloquent as my my good friend next to me is, I'm gonna have to give it to you raw. It's in the blood, right? Because when we're talking about nature versus nurture and all of that, but when we take it back down to the genetic coding, 101, ho no ho, it is in the DNA, it's written in the DNA, and through epigenetics, we're kind of formed to be this person or to be that person. That's why we as a group do not look at our women and discuss when they are siring multiple babies through a single womb. Right? Because it's in our epigenetics. That's how we were formed.
Wait, let me qualify that. Wait. Let me qualify that because you use epigenetics, right? I want to.
But let me land because I have a very strong, powerful point.
But you got to say what you meant was they're siring multiple, but they're having multiple men's children in the same.
Men are, they're siring.
Yeah, go ahead.
The men are siring. The men are siring. The multiple.
The women are having multiple men's children in the same womb. That was the point you were making.
Men are siring children in that single womb, right? But at the end of the day, most black people, FBAs, come from breeding farms. That's why we use the word mother effer, because most of us come from mother effers. And that's why we can say I F's with you, because it's in the blood.
Okay, I want let me say this. God damn. So look.
Am I wrong?
I'm gonna say this because
I disagree with you.
I think you've got. I'm gonna have to have a whole video on that now. See what you be doing, man. I will say I'm gonna put an asterisk there. I'm gonna put an asterisk there.
Right,
I gotta clean something up, but no, I gotta clean a clarification up so we're clear, so that your point can stand. Understand that DNA is like a rap verse. Epigenetics is the actual rapper spitting the verse. Your environment is the beat in the track you're rapping on. That's the relationship.
Okay, then I'm not going to use the word epigenetics anymore. I'm going to use the word because I'm not saying that because I'm not environment and man are not co-functional. Give me 1 second. Somebody talk for a second. I'll find a word in a minute.
I will say you don't get modern man without its capacity to use civilization, which is serving as an intermediary between man and the environment. So when people are talking about the environment, mostly they're speaking about civilization and how it influences and distorts the environment. It can do it from the natural perspective, a natural gradient. It can do it from a physical gradient. If you understand what infrastructure is, that's what that is. And then it does it socially, which is how we have ideas like jobs and professions and banking, laws, religion. These are all things that are social environment things, but they're contingent on civilization. And your civilization is a degree to which, or the ability for you to harness and make use of energy using technology. And there's consequences of that the culture is supposed to mitigate. But if you don't have enough time to address that, you start running into entropy from the civilization that leaks into the environment, which causes these problems we're discussing in the general sense.
I guess I pose that question. I mean, besides if you exclude like nature, you know what I'm saying? When we say environment, are we just talking about people, or if you're excluding nature, or the weather, the the landscape and all that stuff?
That's what's meant by natural environment, physical environment, and social environment. I'm saying they are an emergent property of human beings coming across nature. And then you get civilization when you've got one or more persons engaging and placing their will on the environment. And the end result is your capacity to do so is directly in correlation to your technical means to do so.
Right.
And your inertia from prior relations with other people, aka your culture. So you can have different groups of people who have different culture, but the same level of civilization, but the outcomes and the way the environment is experienced is night and day. It's how you get concepts like value systems, etc. I think this is why
I'm back.
Yeah, go ahead, because this probably need to be a whole separate conversation.
So like when you talk to people like breeders that breed stock, and everyone will tell you when the coochie has been tapped by multiple dicks, the offspring is ruined, right? And you like the pedigree has been weakened, and you start to get these different types of mixtures and things like that. And that's what Black America is, right? It's basically a hodgepodge of just like whatever, right? We're full of MFers. Women are used to having multiple men not inside her to have children, because this all stems back to at least 100 years of a breeding pattern. So that stuff is now in your system. It's in your DNA. I don't want to use the word epigenetics.
It is epigenetics. I'm trying to tell you that's
No. I want to talk about it from like a breeding standpoint, like when like people who raise horses and stuff like that.
Wait. Let me help you, fam, because this is exactly what you're talking about. It's why I told you it's the verse that's spitting. The rapper.
Because I'm purposely on purpose staying away from that word, because I want to show how when breeders are breeding horses, right? It's not about the environment. It's not about the diet and things like that.
That's not epigenetics. That's
Right,
not
right. So
epigenetics.
I'm staying away from that word. That's what I'm staying away from that word, right? I'm using the word pedigree and bloodline because those things are in your bloodline and it's a part of your pedigree.
But wait,
And
I'm still. I don't think you're getting what I'm trying to say here. You can have it in the DNA script. Whether or not it's articulated in your genetic expression is epigenetic, which means look at it like this. Each genetic sequence within your DNA, you can choose.
Listen to this. When multiple mating is a problem in breeding programs, the goal is to preserve certain traits, right?
Artificial selection.
Certain traits, right? But we were artificially selected, right?
That I'm not arguing that. I'm saying the vector that can be translated through is through epigenetics. It's flipping that switch on and off, predicated by the environment.
I don't. But then, so this is where I disagree with the theory. It cannot be switched off.
I don't think it could be taken out, but yeah, it could be switched on and off. Anything can be switched on and off. That's how methylation works. That's exactly how methylation works.
It cannot be switched off.
You can switch it on and off. It doesn't mean that it's not there anymore.
At the end of the day, can I ask a question? Can I ask
Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
Sure.
I understand the argument you're making. Here's the dilemma. That whole shit is all in us too.
Yeah.
It's all in us too. Well, whatever it is that might be active in there is at the very least going up. So from a survivalistic standpoint, you got to feel as though there's some hope or some remedy for the situation. But what if we take it from the side? For your own sake, you must believe there is otherwise. What's the point if there's no hope for them? Brother, there's no hope for you.
Well, so I don't know what the question is though. So so what's the question?
I'm saying if there is no hope for remedy in them, there's no hope for remedy in you.
Okay, so there's no
from the same source.
Then I don't know how you want me to respond.
We come from the same source. I'm saying you're making this argument of the incurability of
of epigenetics.
I'm saying that same incurability is in you
by way of your own X chromosome, right?
Right, but what is the question? I mean, are you just telling me there's no hope? Then okay, that's your viewpoint. Then I don't know what you want me to respond.
I'm saying by your argument, I'm saying
that's your viewpoint, but my viewpoint is very different. But I don't know what I'm like. You say you have a question for me, but I'm yet to hear the question. Because if you're just going to say by my viewpoint, there's no hope, then I'm saying
when the same logic says that there's no hope for you.
Oh, you just go to Africa, right? And you go to women who don't have that gene, right? So you can dilute it.
No, he's saying that if we got it,
but if we have the gene, we have the gene. We're going to spread the gene to Africa.
So what I'm saying is,
point, no. My point. Okay, I understand his point, but what I'm saying is this: if niggas and bitches get together, you create a super nigga, right? Super Saiyan. But if you have one of them that has the gene, and then you go to another place that doesn't have the gene, right? Now you're diluting it. And each generation that you're diluting it a bit more, right? So if I marry a Kenyan and then my son marry a Kenyan and so on and so forth, it dilutes the bloodline, the FBA bloodline.
Okay, so what you're talking about is a kind of selective eugenics modality going on here, which is different. What I'm telling you is the way methylation works is you don't have to necessarily do that for that to occur. In fact, a lot of those issues can be carried on by the dude depending on what's going on, but also depending on the environment that the woman is in when she's pregnant. Because again, the placenta is nothing more than a blood barrier. And a lot of what she's got going on biochemically is shared and experienced with the child during development. That was actually a whole reason why all those years ago, I did multiple videos with Dr. Nicole Ali breaking down epigenetics so that we could see that it's not a death sentence. It can be manipulated and changed. All it does, it doesn't change the verse. What it does is it changes the way you can articulate and spit the verse. So you can choose to say things or add to them, but you can't put new things in the script.
Nameless. In Jamaica, part of the slave trade, 80% of the men who were tested, not 80% of all men, 80% of the men who were tested found out that kid
Fidelity.
was not theirs.
Right. So we're back again to, and it's a similar story with Nigeria. So we're back to these environment pieces.
Brother, those are two different environments, man.
They're the same. They've got the same. They're the English speaking colonial mechanism, fam. It's not different. It's not different for the sake of this. If you go and look at our haplogroups, you're going to find the same haplogroups in Jamaica that you're going to find here in America, and you'll find them in Nigeria.
No, Nigeria depends. It depends. Igbo tribe, yes, but other tribes, no.
Yeah, Igbo is more imported, but I'm saying in the general sense, you're going to find similar haplo designations. So what I'm saying is we're all spitting the same verse. We're just spitting them into different tracks that may have been remixed. Same timing, different rappers. My point is, if it's epigenetic, there is an environmental component that's tied to that, which was the point in culture.
Jamaica is very different from Chicago, Philadelphia, and Chicago, Philadelphia is very different from Nigeria. I've been to Nigeria multiple times.
I understand. I'm talking about the social environment. So when we're getting it right, okay, no, there's still similarities. Everyone's still speaking English. You've got different shadows of Africa. Well, specifically, you got shadows of Yoruba in particular, and some bits of the Khan and all of that are still around over there. Yes, but it's still got the story of they were either a colony, formal colony, and English is still the general inertia. And when they're industrializing, they're using the democratic, the liberal democratic model to modernize and get access to the industrial first world.
In Colombia too. Not as bad as Nigeria, but Colombia also.
Right, that's the pattern I'm highlighting here.
They speak Spanish, brother.
No, it's not. It's not the language. They're still using the democratic, the liberal democratic model to update.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, brother, but no. I'm sorry. No.
That's all social environment. They are, and you can still see that happening. Now they've got stronger cultural inertia that can push back against that. So yeah, you're getting some different outcomes. You can still be treated like a human because you got a Y chromosome. But the point I'm saying is it doesn't change the fact of what's going on with epigenetics. Epigenetics is just simply a response triggered by the environment by way of methylation to determine how the gene gets articulated.
Well,
it doesn't.
What I'm going to say is this because right now that's a hypothesis, that's not fact. And number two, what I know is the Hoenn is forever, and it has been forever, and it will continue to be forever.
So we're back to articulation and methylation. That's not a theory. That's how the vaccine was made, the so-called vaccine recently. It's why our liver cells. Go ahead.
The theory of nurture of environment over.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna go there with that. I'm just saying that's how methylation works.
What I'm gonna go there is a lot of us, we forget why we're different from animals. We have reason, they do not. They are slaves to instincts and they can't do nothing about it. Animals have to deal with what the environment gives them. With mankind, the environment has to deal with what we give it.
To an extent, based on our civilization, yes. That's how you get civilization.
Whatever we decide to do, the environment just got to take it.
Well, can I give my closing statement?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
All right. So first of all, it was a pleasure talking to everyone. Great discussion. Unfortunately,
Why are you running? Why are you running? You dropped this information about Jamaica. I'm here to rebut it. Don't run. Don't run. Don't run. Don't run. Don't run. Why are you running? Don't run. Where are you running?
Now you got
yeah, you can't go, bro.
Look,
Your pride won't let you leave, man.
At the end of the day, I'm gonna
Yo, you and BGS have been going around making a lying statement that was literally one article, and the article clearly said this was one institution that was open for 1 month, and this is the results we saw in 1 month. And the article clearly this information should not be extrapolated for the entire island. Stop lying, brother.
All right. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen.
As a matter of fact, a most recent study was done in Jamaica, and it's actually on 33% infidelity rate, which is around the same rate in Europe and America. Because America said that 35%. You went to Harvard, man, and you went to Harvard School of Public Health, and you do stuff like that, bro.
Let me clarify the statement. You're right. You're right.
I went to Boston College, and we know how to do our stuff at BC.
Okay.
So we live like 2 miles away from you guys.
I apologize for the sensitive statement I made to any Caribbeans that are in the audience. I sincerely apologize. The article was for 1 month and 1 month only. So
the article was a result after our clinic being open for 1 month, and the clinic said it was
Can I finish? So if you want to take a chance, fuck around and find out. Now back to my closing statement. At the end of the day,
once again, misinformation. I just told you that the most recent studies indicate 33%, which is the same as Europe and America, which are first world countries.
Brother, I just said.
I'm just saying, no, dude, you do this shit all the time. You just stop doing that because you come from Harvard. This means you have to lie and make light of things, dude.
Nobody is lying.
A lot of people have issues with you because you keep doing that. A lot of people have issues because you keep doing that. You be coming up here undermining people. Something like I come from Harvard, so I can do that. Dude, I went to Boston College. So what now?
Okay, again, I retracted the statement. Said that it was.
Yeah, dude. I'm saying, and stop saying about taking your chances, bro. I'm like, hold your own L's. I hold my own L's. I know what Jamaica is. I don't tell people what Jamaica is not. You have your own L's and ADOs. Hold your fucking own L's and stop trying to spread misinformation about other people, bro. You know what I'm saying? Hold your own L's. BGS comes up here, BGS gives you information that are concrete about his own people, and then he says lies about Jamaicans. When he's just clearly an article that you can read from. I've sent the article both Dr. T and himself and Mr. Z. And yet you guys keep saying that in this air that Jamaica has an 80-90% is saying paternity fraud rate, which is ridiculous. Because even logistically speaking, that makes no fucking sense. The Urus and accountant will tell you that makes no sense. If 9 out of 10 babies belong to the wrong father, that will literally lead to massive genetic problems within 1 or 2 generations. I'm saying we're not the fastest people on the planet because we're genetic fucking anomalies.
Bro. First of all, calm down, right? Because first and foremost, I retracted the statement. Secondly, I didn't say all 80% of Jamaicans. I said 80% of Jamaicans that went to get tested, right? So before you get all excited and insulted, listen to what I just said to you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna use STD rate and Houston, bitch.
He already apologized. No place, so you gotta calm down. He's already calmed down. Bro, you don't come up here to attack people, man. You don't come. I mean, you've already proved your point.
I literally apologized, and I said I apologize for the sensitive statement to Jamaicans, and I retracted my statement. And you still fucking yelling for fucking what? I apologize. Oh my fucking God. Like matter of fact, you keep going, so I don't even really want to apologize. I retracted my statement. I apologize, and I apologize to the Caribbean people. God damn.
So I'll say this, man, because you did that stat. You brought that up in response to me, and we were talking about epigenetics. I'll do another epigenetics video.
I didn't say all Jamaican people. I said 80% of that study.
So So
sorry. Go ahead.
It's fine. Once again, because it's cool. He wanted to come up and do his correction, which you could do no placeholder if you are of a mind to want to. That sounds like a video you can do. I think it would be cool to clear the air. It probably would assist in clarifying the point that was being made, so none of this gets misunderstood. Because what we don't want to do is turn this into a personal argument about, I'm gonna say hot sauce, because I ain't doing that today. About how hot sauce, because you already know there's the diaspora wars going on, and I don't want this conversation to turn into the diaspora wars, because most of us up here ain't on that type of time.
Yeah, and I apologize, bro. I mean, it's all good.
So he's clarified, he let it go, and in the bigger context of the conversation, he was directing his statement towards me, not the Jamaican people. It was my statement about the fact that epigenetics has an environmental piece, and we were just having a conversation about determinism in response to what Black Uwu was bringing up on, well, understand that sword cuts both ways. If they're contaminated, we're contaminated. So understanding, if you're saying that there's no vector of correction for them, it means there's no vector of correction for us, which led to your rebuttal about a eugenic style restocking or reorientation by way of going with other people classified as Black outside of the greater ADOS conversation. That's how that was all meant. That's how we got there. So if that's your understanding, you can pause it on that and let it go. And if you've got anything else you want to direct, you could probably do a video on that. That's what was meant when that was brought up, just so we're clear. Did Roger drop off?
I don't know. I think so.
I don't think I see anything.
I got you, Davis. I appreciate you.
It's all good, fam. I understand your frustration with that. So I just wanted to make sure we were clear on context for the record.
No. It was nothing to do with you. Nor, well, yeah, it is. I'm gonna let it go.
Right, because I mean, that sounds like more of a BGST or John Johnson thing to me than to me, bro.
No, Dr. T, it does give misinformation. I've listened to Dr. T for many years. He's one of my heroes in this space. He's very accurate. His eloquence and articulation cannot be.
But like,
I didn't say Dr. T. I said I sent the information to Dr. T, and he was the only one that responded back to me and said, "Thank you for this information, brother." Everyone else keeps saying that, and I sent it to them, and they basically keep repeating it. And
so what I would do, no placeholder. What I would do, and I'm gonna double down on my earlier suggestion to you. Make a video on that, fam.
Yeah,
just do a video on that. Link your articles, and then it just gets added to the lexicon, and it'll self-correct. I think that'll be a good topic for you. Just highlight it on the channel, man. And when you get back to it, let us know.
Because as soon as you said it, I said, "Fine, I'll retract my statement." Right? I didn't make a big deal about it. I just said, okay, I retracted my statement to okay, that was that one study that happened at that time. Right?
I'll put together my info and I'll make a video. And I accept your apologies, sir.
Yeah, that way we don't run into this needless conflict, because it will conflagrate, and I don't think that's the time or place here. Yeah. We got so many other places we can do that at. Let's not worry about that here. So do the video, put it out. Let me know when you do. You got my emails publicly available, man. So just hit me up. I don't mind having that conversation.
Yeah.
But
where's
I'll put it up and then we'll go from there. But I appreciate your understanding. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all good. Roger's back now, though.
Yeah. No, you can close it, man. Because truth, no placeholder refused to let me get my closing statement now. So
okay, I'm back. My bad. I knocked myself off and I had to restart my phone. So I am back. I'm gonna say what no placeholder did technically goes to the point of what I'm saying. When you see yourself as the prize, you react to things in a much different way. So he saw it as an attack on his group, and he responded as if it was an attack on his group because he cares something about his group and he sees his group with some level of value, which is technically what I'm trying to get Black men to do right now. Start to see yourself as a prize. You do have some value. If you weren't valuable, everybody wouldn't be begging black men to do something. You know, they want our money, they want our time, they want our energy, and that ain't just black women. This whole country is always trying to, quote unquote, finesse black men out of something. We got to have somebody, everybody trying to finesse us. If you trying to convince me to give you what I got, I obviously got something that's worth something. So at the end of the day, everybody can clearly see we valuable except us. And that's a problem. You know? Now, the epigenetic argument and all that, I ain't gonna get into all that because I don't know if I really buy into that yet, or but I've accepted that yet. But hey, it is what it is. I don't too much disagree with science, but I will say this: even if all that's true, we as people can do what we want to. We're not slaves to our instincts. So at the end of the day, it still amounts to an excuse to me, because you're not a slave to your instinct. You can do what's right regardless of what's going on. So if we just need to do better, then we just need to do better. But at the end of the day, if we as men do not require other people to treat us like a prize, and why would you if you don't see that yourself, then why would they ever start? If you look in the mirror and you don't see a prize, something's wrong with you. I mean, when it all kind of comes down to it, we were supposed to dominate the world. We're supposed to have dominion. Okay? Change environments if necessary. If you're not trying to use any dominion at all, that sounds problematic to me. Because to me, it sounds like you out of your whole purpose of being a human being in the first place. If you're a man, you're supposed to be trying to dominate something. That's how I see that.
There's very little in America. America is not really designed for black men to dominate much of anything. And I agree with everything you're saying, Roger. I just, like I said, I think ultimately many men who want to actually be leaders and view themselves as, look, hey, if I'm Kevin Durant, I could probably see myself as the prize because I have an outsized influence and image on the world, just for example. So I'm the prize regardless, just by virtue of my standing, my wealth, my whatever. It almost doesn't even really matter what I feel about myself because the world is going to tell me how valuable I am. It's going to repeatedly tell me how valuable I am. And so I agree with everything you're saying. I just don't think that you can just tell yourself you're the prize. I don't think you can do that. I think that's a part of it. But I think ultimately you have to put yourself in an environment where subconsciously you're constantly having that be reinforced to you. When you hear brothers talk about like they've traveled, to Brazil or whatever, then they come back to the United States and you hear about brothers crying, like sobbing, because they starkly realize how different the world is to them being a black man in this wretched place versus much of the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. That's not something you could just that's a subconscious thing. Mm-hmm. That's something very deeply rooted. And I'm sure, and many of these brothers come from very productive backgrounds. They make a lot of money. They've done very well. Obviously they are, because they're able to travel and yep. See the world and whatever. But realize how different their internal sense of value is in this country versus that when they leave it. And that's a real thing.
Shout out to Mumbai, India. Cheap liquor, cheap cocoon town.
Well, I'm definitely not against black men traveling, especially if they can get a dose of that, which ain't nothing wrong with that at the end of the day. It's good to get a dose of that. So, yeah, I would encourage black men to do that. Go somewhere where you can see how the people there operate as if you're the prize. But then you're going to have to remind yourself you're the prize. I don't care if you got to pay some people, put it on a recording and play it to yourself every day. You're going to have to accept that you are the prize, because until you do, you're not going to move the way we need you to move. The more of a prize you are, the more you're gonna move the right way. 9 times out of 10, you know, there is no perfect formula, but the more you accept that, more than likely you will make the right decision. You know, when you see yourself as a prize, if you got a son being taught something in school that don't agree with what you think needs to be agreed with, you will snatch your son out of that school because you ain't gonna tolerate it. You know, you're gonna do. If you see yourself as a prize, your daughter can't dress like a hoe, and her mama can't convince you that it's okay. I don't care if she is your wife for 10 years or whatever the case is. Your daughter is not gonna dress like a hoe because you see your words matter, and you said, "Nah, she can't wear that," and that's it. And your wife may say, "Well, don't be so hard up." You're gonna say, "Nah, I didn't say what I said," and that's it, because you see yourself as a prize. Now your daughter dresses better. No bad result there. So the thing is, I'm not saying you have to see yourself as a prize. You're the prize whether you see it or not. That's why everybody's trying to get something out you. And you know, you live in this American society, people are always trying to get something out of black men. So we don't need to pretend that ain't the truth. So we are the prize to everybody, unfortunately, but us. And at some point, we need to just accept who we are so we can operate better. But I'm gonna say that, and I'm gonna go ahead and close it out, okay? And if anything needs to be worked out, we'll work it out backstage, okay? So y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. I do want to say shout out to shout out to Pound for Pound, who sent me a Cash App yesterday. Thank you very much, my brother. Appreciate you big time. Appreciate you big time. And if anybody else wants to get something to the Roger Report Live, keep in mind, the Cash App is open 24 hours a day. And that's $ the Roger Report. But appreciate y'all. Have a good rest of the day. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.